Hey, oh, is that good? Hi, welcome everybody to the World Peace Broadcast with UNIFY. Honored to be here with you. Oh, Friday, International Day of Peace, happening right now all over the world. So happy to be here with a whole family of people in Vancouver, Canada. Family will be joining us from all over the world in India, in New York, and we'll be jumping to Washington, D.C. It's the first time we've done this, and so we're super excited about it. And it's been a whole adventure to get here. So it's just a thrill to be on here. So I'm going to share a little bit about UNIFY, what's going on over here. We've been doing global synchronized meditations for the last, I think it's our 7th year now. So we started on December 21st, 2012, and I'm sure many of you remember that historic day of the ending of the Mayan calendar, and we were all like, what's going to happen? Well, there was a whole group of us that got together a month before in a house in Mill Valley, actually, and just decided to dedicate our lives to trying to pull together something that would be amazing for the world. So we weren't exactly sure what we were getting ourselves into, but we knew we had friends at Stonehenge, and we had friends at Chichen Itza and Palenque and Tikal, and then we'd all get the kind of transmission to sort of do something at the pyramids of Giza, another group in Jerusalem. And so a little while earlier, we had done our first International Day of Peace event called Be the Peace, where we had a good friend of mine, Patrick, had these meditation flash mobs happening all over the world for a couple of years, especially during the Occupy movement. And we decided, why don't we try synchronized meditation flash mobs, see what happens? And it caught hold, and it actually happened. So we had something like 248 events around the world. And we thought, why don't we do this again for December 21st, 2012, but this time do it at sacred sites. So that was how UNIFY started. Rolling back a little bit deeper, many of us had either had dreams about or visions about or knew about the prophecy of 144,000 souls aligning at the exact same time on December 21st, 2012. That was actually a threshold for people to pass, for humanity to pass, to go through the gateway into ascension, into awakening. So that was our mission. Privately get at least 144,000 people meditating at exactly the same time on December 21st, 2012. I believe the time was at 12:12, something like that. So anyways, it grew and grew and grew. We went from there, we did Earth Day and World Water Day and got back to Peace Day and realized, oh my God, this is a thing, we could do this. And so it just grew and grew. And today we've got over something like 1,300 events around the world, all the way from peace marches to peace meditations to peace vigils. And tonight we're going to be having something quite interesting happen with decentralized dance parties around the world. We think we've cracked the code, and we're going to figure out a way to enter this adventure celebrating. So we're stoked about that. And then Saturday is going to be Radical Acts of Compassion tomorrow. So people are going to be doing amazing things in cities all around the world for the downtrodden, those that have lost hope, maybe our friends that are having some difficulty with their health, their existence. We're going to be finding really profiling wonderful ways that some of our how to love them and heal them and take care of them en masse. So that's going to be tomorrow. And then Sunday, there's a global synchronized meditation at 12 noon PST that will be profiling from all over the world. And we'll be joined hour by hour by hour with special guests. So excited to have you here. And I think we're ready to roll into our good friend Michael from Rise. How are we, Josh? We good to go? Yeah. Nice. Yeah, so we've been up late nights, all of us, figuring out the tech and figuring out how we're going to make this all work and bringing our best face to it all. And it's been awesome. It's been such an adventure. We set up a little lab here in Vancouver and went on an adventure together, and probably about 20 of us or so just getting her all day and all night, bringing her best love to you. Yeah, here's Mike. Yeah, I need to put
Hey
audio on
guys.
myself, I think. Let's see. Hey, Mike.
Hey Dale. Hey Dale. How you doing, man?
Nice, I got you. Cool. Wait 1 second. There we go. There we go. Audio in. There you go. Cool. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm in New York. I'm in the UN here for Peace Day and a bunch of SDG work, and but really super psyched to be part of a worldwide broadcast talking about peace.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. What's it like at the UN? What's is it? Is there the buzz happening? What's shaking up
Yeah,
the UN?
the UN's always like a conglomerate of many different events. So we're here doing some SDG finance work, looking at ways to get money to flow towards the SDGs in general. So all of them. But there's like for Peace Day, there's a bunch of kids that have showed up this morning, and there's kind of a buzz on the street outside. So it's a pretty special place to be. It's if you will, it's a zone where the world is meant to come together, and that's well needed.
It's a perfect place to be for what you're doing with Rise. Rise has bubbled to the surface in our world, and number of times, seen it's different groups that have been working on it. That's been quite an adventure for you, huh? Like, how many years have you guys been at the adventure together?
Yeah, sometimes I like to say we're just getting started, but it has been 4 years. We started with an event called Success Summit 3.0. And that's where we really had an amazing number of thought leaders and people in the space who were just trying to crack the code on what would it take to actually change our notion of success to have a model that worked for everybody and worked for the planet too. And that just seems to be really well aligned with an emerging global movement around examining success at the level of the individual, examining it at the level of the organization or the corporation. And then finally, really in the past 2 years, this amazing movement looking at how do we examine what is success for the whole planet look like, and what systems are we going to have to redesign to have that happen. And when I say planet, I actually mean planet plus people. We obviously would like to stick around a while.
Good timing with the SDGs, man. Couldn't be a more timely message, huh, for the world. Tell us the story of the story. How did you guys decide to create this? What was the inspiration?
Yeah, first we were just looking at personal success. We thought, well, if we could get a message out there about redefining personal success away from, having all the stuff you might want as a model of success, or the bigger pile of stuff you have, the more successful you are, to, hey, what if we had a model of success that said, hey, if you can discover your gifts and your purpose, and you can contribute them to the world to make it a better place, wouldn't that be a great model of success? And then if we were in kind of a race to see who was most successful, would be who was giving their gifts the most and who was making the biggest contribution. And so we thought we were going to make a really small film about that, take 6 months or something, take some of these great thought leaders we had and put that out. But then, of course, as we got into that world, it's like, well, personal success isn't enough. We've got to really look at success at the level of companies and organizations. There was a huge number of social venturists that had started companies that did good and did well at the same time. And so when we got into those stories, like, oh, wow, this film has just grown. And so we went off and went from 40 interviews to 100 interviews. And then, of course, blockchain happened and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then we were at 150 interviews. And so it's a project that, like a wave, kind of lifted us up and took us to places we didn't know we were going to go with it. And we're really excited to be getting into the home stretch and having the film ready to go.
Yeah. When is the launch? When are you anticipating it's going to go live?
Well, we're looking at a couple of different premiere strategies right now. We've submitted to Sundance, and we're hoping to, if not be a Sundance selection, which is it's for a movement film instead of a personality-driven film. It's not very common. But if not, we're looking at actually doing a premiere showing there and a premiere showing at WEF. We really want to make sure that this message gets into kind of the highest level of looking at how the economy works on the planet. And so being a subversive film at WEF, we think would be a really good move. WEF, World Economic Forum, for those people who are not in the acronym business.
Well, we're so excited at UNIFY to kind of actually get to watch the film. I think our audience is get to enjoy like what you guys have collected and some of what you've shot all around the world. So tell me this, can we take a peek at the trailer, see where you guys are at? My audio keeps falling out. There we go. There. Sorry, Mike. We're having
I'm here.
difficulties.
No, that's all right.
Falling out.
Your audio falling
You've
out.
got your
We'll get the trailer queued. Am I supposed to tell you some anecdote about the trailer?
Yeah, no. So do you want to share a little bit about the trailer? We'd love to show it.
Well, the trailer, funny enough, is we did the trailer a couple of years ago, and although the scope of the movie's changed a lot, the trailer actually is still very much accurate as to what we're trying to achieve. And I think the version of the trailer we uploaded to you guys has a little segment with some of our thought leaders at the end of it that I think people will find interesting for sure.
Cool. Okay, let's roll with it, and then we'll keep you on for a little bit longer. Yeah. Josh, my audio keeps falling out. On WeRise? Yeah, I'm not hearing any audio.
Looks like we got the logo animation going.
That's a good start. So we'll get it. We'll get it together here. We'll see what's happening. I'm
always ready to fill in with good anecdotes from this project, because it's been quite an amazing thing to get to interview some of these people. All the way from John Mackey at Whole Foods to Daniel Schmachtenberger from Neurohacker Collective. There's been such an amazing number of contributors and thinkers to this project. My own mind has been dramatically expanded just by creating the project. It's been amazing.
Yes, you tell us a little bit about who's in the film. Like who could we expect to see, and what are they sharing? Like what's the theme of what's the story that's emerging? I know it's the film has taken you guys on a bit of a journey, but I'm so curious to know, like, what has led to what? What has been sort of your journey with it?
Yeah, great. We started with thought leaders like Michael Beckwith and Barbara Marx Hubbard, and a lot of that crowd. And there's a moment, it's like, oh, is this kind of a thought leadery secret kind of film where we give people advice about how to discover something in themselves? And but at the same time, when we interviewed them, we had people like Luke Nosek, who started PayPal, and John Mackey from Whole Foods, and Blake Makowski from Tom's Shoes, and a bunch of thought leaders that had worked in the space of building businesses and entrepreneurship, things that were really live on the ground. And the thing that was really compelling for us was that people had personal stories of discovering something in themselves that, first of all, was usually something that was like something they didn't want to have happen in the world the way it was happening in the world, and they were willing to leverage their talents and their gifts and their businesses to have an impact on the world and make a positive difference. And so, although the film still has a lot of these thought leaders, Michael Beckwith has been phenomenal, and Barbara Marx Hubbard talking about evolution is really phenomenal. And really, the film is about people examining and doing things, and the experience of the film is not what you might expect on a kind of normal film. It doesn't follow a certain character's story or journey. It's really a Greek chorus where we hear from various and sundry thought leaders across many different ways of looking at the world and thinking about the world and getting their hands on the world. And so the film is meant to be a provocation to actually open up an inquiry for yourself, looking at your life and how you're approaching your own personal success. how you leverage your personal success and your gifts and your power into businesses and organizations that make an impact. And then really having us ask the deep questions about what is ours to do. What levels of our system are we willing to dare to look at? We look at economics and finance systems. We look at governance and governance models. Are we the generation that redefines some of these things that have been in our culture and our environment for 250 years? Or is still the thinking that was done 250 years ago the thinking that we should run our lives by? So we really have gotten to a point where the film is a discovery for people, I think. We also have people, we have Princiers in the film. Richard's a friend, and we did a bunch of work at the end of the film. And so like, there's really just an incredible collection of people. And I just kind of feel so much gratitude, for people taking time to sit in an interview with me and explore these topics. And what's happened around us at the same time is these conversations aren't just happening on camera, they're happening all over the world, and they're really rippling out. And I think that as a movement, we feel the depth and breadth of what our capacity is. That maybe this isn't just a kind of a quick flash in the pan moment. This is actually a moment that has a great amount of decentralization, a great amount of different people working on different threads of things, but all together that we get a hold of something big, and we have an opportunity that's unprecedented.
You said movement, and it's not every day that there's a film that actually is integral or the voice of a movement, right? Like, think about, go see what we do in the movie theaters, and when can you actually say that you've seen something that deeply inspires your heart, or is actual news from the front lines? In terms of a movement, what's your vision of how this film plays into the movement? Is it speaking to the millennials? Is it voices from the leaders? I feel in getting to see what I've seen, I'm so excited for people to actually get to peer into some of the interviews. But what's that relationship for you? How does a film cause a movement?
Super great question. Obviously, it's not me starting a movement or being part of it. Like I grew up in the punk era a little bit, and I always loved these photographers that would be like behind the scenes shooting these photos of like just the most amazing things. And sometimes for this movement, I feel like that guy. I feel like I'm with people and having conversations with them, but I've always got my camera, and we're actually recording things as they're coming up and being trialed in conversation all over the place. And so really the feeling I feel is that I'm part of something, and my job is to find a way to bring it to the rest of the world and to bring this experience to a wider audience, so that we all know we have a part to play. And then it's decentralization, baby. That's the move right now. Like, there's not anybody who's not a leader in this movement. There's not anybody that can't join in with somebody else and help pick up the thing that they need to do. And I think that's our moment of brilliance and genius. And you ask about what generation it is for. Well, we've got Barbara Marx Hubbard's in her 80s now, and we've got Xiuhtezcatl Martinez, who's 18. The movie has leaders from every generation, and there's nobody left behind. I wanted to say that one of the things that we're really discovering right now is that nobody's wrong. Like we could talk about the default civilization, default society, and about how it puts us in a box and all this, but there's nobody doing that. And anybody at any moment can change and fix things and pick up their part and have a whole new thing emerging. So what we feel is that it's very time for an integral message that it's not an us against them move. It's really us, and only the way that we're going to actually get this thing changed is to do it all together.
I mean, you think about it, most movements, you're making such a good point, like most movements had something that people were resisting against, right? Whether it's apartheid or Occupy, it's like making something wrong. Now, that inherently isn't a bad thing, but once the driver of the movement is over, usually the movement dies too. I feel like that this has been a slow boil, right? Like, and maybe the first emergence in some of our lives was the 60s and the 70s, but this is a continuation in many ways of a self-organizing movement around the world. and its expressions are all the way from organic food, or people's consciousness about their health or their water, or transformational festivals, and a whole new genre of music, and actually in the aggregate culture, right? Like, it's almost, for those that are kind of on the inside, it's such a, it feels, it truly does feel like something that we belong to, right? So I haven't seen yet one. It's surprising there hasn't been one movie yet that has really told the story, like you said, in an integral way of this rising tide of change. There's so many expressions of it, but sometimes a movie, like, I've seen great movies on water or great movies on climate change, but really something that takes a snapshot of all the different legs of the octopus, not really. So it must be an exciting place to be, to really get to be the voice of that, right? To be this center of the hub.
Yeah, and just, we're looking at the personal aspect so much. I mean, with all the people we have in the film, we can't even begin to examine the projects they're working on. We just really are looking at, what does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it smell like for a human being to be, grappling with their own awakening, with the notion of planetary awakening that's not the dawning of the age of Aquarius type things. We're not going to be all running around barefoot and dancing in the sunlight, but we are going to come together to create something new.
I should put some pants on then. Okay, keep going.
I'll stop. You're going to make me blush, man. And I think the thing that, like, my parents were that generation, and it was beautiful. I grew up in that world, and yet when I look at, like, when we actually gather the reins of like really guiding the health and welfare of an entire planet full of people, and we take responsibility for 8 billion people, it's like, oh, that's going to take something, and it's going to take a lot of us with lots of understanding and expertise to actually have an impact on that in a way that's not pie in the sky, not wishful thinking, but actually being effective at doing a better job, doing a better job for all of us, less inequality, like the SDGs, all these projects to work on, and I'm just really inspired.
I mean, yeah, like you're saying, the SDGs and blockchain, these are all expressions, I think, of one thing. Like, what makes this movement different than, let's say, the birth pangs of the first chapter in the 60s and 70s from your perspective? Like, what's different? Why is this going to last?
Yeah, I think it's like the layers of the onion, right? The 60s had to overthrow the kind of authoritarian oppression of their parents, like that idea that authority was always right and that you should just toe the line and all that. They had a lot to overthrow in a way that was oppressive. And so I look at that and wow, my parents, your parents, like, they grew up in a different world than that 60s generation did, a much looser, much freer world. I mean, look, transformational language is on the street these days. In the early 70s, it was being invented. So we have the benefit of the world that they created to step into. And we also have, technology and tools that they never dreamed of having. I mean, worldwide connections. I mean, look, we're on a broadcast that's around the world. They could only dream of unifying people the way that we're doing today. And so it's what is the project that's the time of now, and who are the people that are doing that project? Well, we're the people that are doing that project, all of us, and we'll have to use everything that we've got, all of our gifts, all of our genius. We'll have to use our relationships and tools and technologies, and then we can invent new ways, and many new ways. It's not like we're inventing one new world order. We're running, a multiplicity of expressions and a multiplicity of ways of doing things. And maybe that's another big breakthrough, is this notion that, oh, I can actually raise community with like-minded values in this local space or digital local space, and somebody else can do something different that looks different and have it be equally valued and equally beneficial for the world. And I think that's another moment, really, for human beings, is realize that what's right for humanity is actually a tapestry. It's not a one-size-fits-all jumpsuit or something.
Oh. And are you? I mean, we're in a bit of a. I don't know, good friends of mine are like, we're in a bit of a bubble, Adele. Like, think about it, California culture and the West Coast. I'm like, no. I mean, I'm seeing this happen all over the world. I mean, what are you seeing? Like, does the film take you beyond kind of the domains of North America? Like, do you
do
you travel a bit?
Yeah, we've definitely got. I mean, to be fair enough, it is a film where very articulate people are talking. But we have I've shot in the garbage dumps of humanity and success and kind of.
Well, Michael, I think we might have a slightly unstable feed from where you're dialing in from, but I just wanted to thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to look forward to sharing kind of a little bit more about the Rise film throughout the broadcast. We're just getting started. It's our first hour here, so it's things are going to get fun over the next couple of days, and we're going to get this dialed in. It's get to see maybe some snippets from the film, and we'll have links and some timing for those of you that are interested to see the film coming up. So it's so cool to have you here. I wish I could see how many people are actually here. It's such an interesting, weird feeling. Awesome. So yeah, so we'll look forward to seeing Rise of film. It's been a labor of love for many people, and what I've got to see, like a profiling some of the great leaders in the movement, the self-organizing movement. So if you get a chance, take a peek at that film, and that film's going to be, you can see a trailer at weriseup.com/now, and then we'll look forward to maybe catching up with Michael a little bit later. I'm going to tune in with my team here and see what's next, y'all. What are we doing? Awesome. Cool. Okay, cool. Let's do it. So we've got a little sneak peek of a film that we're going to share with you. Also by Michael. Cool. Okay, great. This is really cool. So Josh, whenever you're ready, let's roll with it.
At Native, we're always talking about how we can enable communities to realize the value that they already hold. A big part of the inspiration for Native came from from my yoga practice, and really understanding how attention and value and energy are actually the same thing. And as human beings, we have, we'll say, a sum of 100% of our total attention or value or energy to allocate to the things that we're interested in, to the things that we want to see succeed in the world. Today, there seems to be a kind of blockage in the fullest authentic expression of that energy, because a lot of people are trying to fit themselves into roles that might not be the best or most authentic expression of where they want that energy to go. And a lot of the reason for doing that is because we need to earn a living, we need to pay for our rent, we need to pay for our cars, we need to pay for our families. So at Native, we're trying to figure out how we can enable people to do things that are more correlated to the things that they actually want to be doing. The concept for Native kind of emerged after I had the opportunity to work with a project called Bancor, combined with some of the works of Robert Swan, who implemented the Berkshires local currency in Massachusetts, as well as Hakim Bey, who one of his kind of most notable works in my mind is the Temporary Autonomous Zone. Ronald Coase used to talk about the theory of the firm, and how when a firm is created or an organization is created around a common purpose, they're able to be a lot more effective than a bunch of people doing things individually. So with Native, part of the vision is to really create the most authentic, create the channels or the pathways for people to be able to express their energies in the most authentic way possible. A community forms on Native by having one person who's kind of the initial visionary of the community, which we call a curator. These curators basically lay the foundation for the community and decide what it's going to be about, set the membership costs, set the price per price per token for the community's currency, and then simply starts to evangelize the community in the same way that anybody would market their Facebook page today. Get people to join, participate, and start to gain community sentiment around what wants to emerge from this collective of people. We believe that when you kind of group people together into these communal structures that are centered around common ideas and build miniature economies around these organizations, there are so many new opportunities to create value that were never possible before. A successful community on Native is really focused on the people. If there are people who are emotionally connected to that community and are interested to allocate some of their attention, some of their time, some of their energy to that community, the collective energy put together by all of those people makes something that will sustain itself from both a financial and a social and just a pure energetic perspective. My hope and my vision is that once everybody is fully expressing themselves from their truly inherent desires and only doing those things, we'll have a world that works for most of the people rather than just a select few like the one we have today. At Native, we're always talking about how we can.
Hey, yeah, nice. We're back on. Can I share a little bit about UNIFY? Yeah. Let me know when we go live here. Tell me when. So, as UNIFY, we wanted to share what is happening this year for the International Day of Peace. This is actually our 6th year as UNIFY. It's actually our 7th year as this crew. Our first adventure, we started on the International Day of Peace on September 21, 2012, believe it or not. And so it's, this is our seventh year kind of as a crew doing something, experimenting with something. And this year is a really big experiment in that we thought, what can we do really different this year? And we thought, there's so many faces, there's so many voices, and we want to actually bring them to life, like shine the light on each of the noble movements that are happening in refugee camps around the world, or in Africa and India and Europe. And we get all these, amazing stories that come to us usually after the campaign. And so we thought, okay, well, let's see if we can this year expand the boundaries of this campaign. Here it is Friday, the International Day of Peace. And we're gonna bump into a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Why don't we just call it the World Peace Weekend and do something about it? So that's what we decided to do. And so here we are. And this year we thought let's see if we can do a 72-hour broadcast and actually share news from the front lines happening. And thanks to Coin Payments being here in a beautiful office, we've got a little broadcast center set up. They've been so generous and kind to hook us up. And thanks to Stage 10, we've got a beautiful technology where we can, basically bring in people from all over the world. So I'll share a little bit about that. Maybe I'll just do a quick and dirty overview of what's going to be happening this year. So our prayer is to unify thousands of organizations and millions of people into a global, self-organizing, synchronized movement of peace. When we say peace, we mean that bridge between inner peace to world peace. There's a lot to explore here in this theme if you really think about it. Like, how do you know you've reached inner peace? We have some ideas we want to share with you once we get to the evolved biologic segment. And that's a massive gap to go from I'm actually feeling wonderful and stable in my life to war doesn't exist on the planet. I think it's going to be important for us to get real. Like there's going to be a lot for us to explore. Is this even possible in our lifetimes? Well, the UN has developed the Sustainable Development Goals in an attempt to organize at least the drivers of inequity, an attempt to create a path to solve them. So each of the goals is set up, has been distilled down to a couple lines: no poverty, zero hunger, good wealth and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnership for the goals. And we're really deeply into numbers. World Peace Day is an opportunity for us to sort of highlight each of the things that are happening in these different domains and really even focus on number 17, which is really what our jam is, which is to unify collective social impact at a global scale. As Martin Luther King said, those who love peace must learn to organize effectively as those who love war. The campaign this year is about #WagePeace. We're gonna share all the different expressions that we've come across and give you kind of opportunities to dig deeper. And it's hard to unsee some of what we've seen, and we feel honored to actually be given opportunity to actually share this with the world. It's such an interesting place in the world where we can actually do this. So we want you to join us this weekend, September 21st to 23rd. Because it's a Friday, we got world peace parties happening all over the world. We're going to show you some videos of that. And then the goal was to sort of use these parties as the flowers for the honeybees to come, and then for us to continue on a journey the next day to go serve the downtrodden, to serve people in need, with the idea that as we switch on our hearts, it's a hard thing to shut off, like to actually touch the light of generosity, really touch that. For those of us that have been to Burning Man and experience contribution culture, or actually serve in communities around the world, or have been to refugee camps, it becomes shit gets real when you get to really give your life force over to something that that matters, and actually watch, bring a smile to someone, and perhaps even change your life irrevocably, fundamentally, forever. So want to stimulate as much of that as possible on Saturday. And Sunday will be a global synchronized meditation. For those of you that have been our homies and been part of this, you know what this is. And for those of you who don't, I'll kind of dig into it a little bit deeper. Thanks to Decentralized Dance Party this year, the DDP. If you get a chance, check out the ddp.com or decentralizeddanceparty.com. We're going to share with you what they're all about. They're such an interesting, unique crew, and they're here in Vancouver. They started here in Vancouver, but they've been, I think, of 100. They've done 100 DDPs around the world, and their vision was to do a global DDP. And this year also, Earth Dance is doing events all around the world. They have events happening Friday and Saturday, actually. So we thought we could have them meet and perhaps merge those architectures a little bit. And so that's happening. And of course, it's the official International Day of Peace. So there's all sorts of official stuff happening at the United Nations, and grassroots places all around the world. We'll be hopping around a little bit and showing you that. Saturday, thanks to Billion Acts of Peace, who's been at this work for a while. X Movement, they're in 3,000 schools in Canada and are exploring expansion into the rest of North America and Central and South America, taking transformational education like meditation courses and yoga courses into classrooms. And our good friends Compassion Games, and they'll be hosting a segment. Can't wait to share with you what they've been up to. And they're such sweethearts. They've just really got to the bottom of become like a vehicle for so many people around the world to bring their love and their kindness to others. And excited to actually share what's going on from them and all the other groups that they unify as well. And Sunday, we're going to have a global synchronized meditation for world peace, working this year with the United Religions Initiative. Huge shout out to them. Huge shout out to the work that's been happening with other groups around the world, like the Global Coherence Initiative and the Global Consciousness Project and other groups like Master Shift that have been doing this. We've all been contributing to this rising consciousness, this rising tide of beauty and goodness, and there's a lot at stake. It doesn't. This kind of stuff doesn't get on the news, and so, but it ought to. I think there's so much more to the world that many of us experience than what we see. Kind of one filter bubble, one silo of information. Whether CNN is siloing that information for us a little bit, or Facebook is, their AIs are siloing it for our newsfeed. I don't think there's anything intentionally evil about it per se, but you get a kind of a narrow perspective on things. There's a lot going on in the world, frankly. So yeah, we hope to shine a little bit of a light on some of the beauty and the light and wonderment and kindness and truth and compassion and innocence. And I think there's enough vampires and kill and rape and pillage in the world, so let's try something different. We've been on a journey for the last 2 months. It's been building and building and building and culminating. We had a 30-day challenge that culminated in 11 days of global unity from 9/11 to 9/21. And then here we are this weekend, starting with the International Day of Peace and ending with the Global Synchronized Meditation. And over this window, we'll be doing this broadcast. And thanks to Stage 10, we've got this cool little technology. It'll just give you a little quick little view of it. So our ideas are we're going to be pulling in feeds from all over the world. So we've got groups that are doing meditations and solutionaries and luminaries and some beautiful music videos and peace videos and things that make us cry that we're going to patch together and produce a bit of a TV show for you and share it with the world. So thanks to our homies at Stage 10. We're so grateful for this opportunity. So saying this, this hasn't been our first rodeo. We've been doing this for a minute. Thanks to all the wonderful partnerships we've been involved with, got a chance to set a Guinness World Record for largest global meditation in human history. We definitely didn't do that alone. So, things have been growing. We're all part of it. There's a growing movement. We're all contributing to it. So, this weekend's about you. Well, we want to hear from you, and we want to share your journey and your story with the world. Sure, we're going to be quantifying, trying to get our arms around, actually how many organizations are really participating, how many people around the world, what are they doing, how many acts of compassion, how many peace events worldwide. So the beautiful organizations. This isn't a comprehensive list. There's probably another 100 or 200. We don't even know. They keep growing, and we're going to do our best to shine the light on some of the key anchors of the movement. And this is building upon a wave that started before us. Perhaps started way before us. As John Lennon said, peace isn't something you wish for, something you make, something you do, something you are, and something you give away. And so we want I want to really inspire that this year, really, and shine the light on those that are actually giving peace to others. Love you very much. We're excited to go get deep into this. I wanted to jump now to a bit of a story of a close friend of mine, Sam Beard, who's been an advisor to 8 presidential administrations. Sam, are you out there in the world? Where are you, man? He's been amazing. He started the Jefferson Awards, which is kind of the awards for youth that have been in service. They're like the Nobel Prizes for that, Jefferson Awards. If you get a chance, check it out. And before Sam Beard, there was no such thing as a minority lending program in the banks. Sam realized that it just wasn't common practice for banks to fund, African American and Latin American businesses. So he made that his mission. It's one of his claims to fame. He's created over 10 million jobs, and I think he's channeled about over $300 billion worth of capital or something crazy like that. It's insane. I mean, he literally set up programs within banks to finance the underserved. Beautiful thing, and he's just been one of my heroes. He had a big wake-up call happen with meditation, and then realized, geez, meditation could help those that are really suffering. And he put his mind to, who's really suffering in North America. And for him, it became the veterans. He's doing, I don't know, 20 amazing projects. He's just a force of nature. If you get it, but I don't know how old he is, but he's just lit. You can hardly keep up with him. Me and him were together at the UN last year, just journeying around and having fun, getting into trouble. It was awesome. And so, this year he's, there's a really big focus he has on bringing peace, inner peace to veterans. A lot of these people, you think about the journey that they've been on, right? Imagine you have to go to another country, fight a war you might not necessarily believe in, and actually have to take someone's life. Imagine what that would do to you, and then to see, friends of yours killed, to have your own limbs blown off, and for what? Really, for what? I mean, is there a really good reason? And to come back home and not really be understood by their fellow man as to what they've been through, and not have that camaraderie anymore. And imagine what that would be like, No wonder, there's such a high rate of suicide, high rate of depression amongst veterans, even homelessness. They give up. What else can you do? So Sam made it one of his missions to get really to the root of it. And he realized that meditation actually has the opportunity for those that are suffering at that level, and for those of us that are here on this broadcast that are meditators. It's not just a simple sort of path to peace. It's you unravel a lot of your own shadow, your own darkness, but in seeing it, and actually just observing what's happening inside, actually has the opportunity to change, right? That transformation actually happens by acknowledging it. So I going on a deep philosophical rant here. I don't know if this is appropriate. Okay, but I wanted to, I'm just really so honored to have Sam's work on this profile on the show, and I think we're going to show a little video about what he's up to. You guys queued up, ready to go? Yeah, let's show the audience that.
When the astronauts went up into space and they're coming back and they see the gorgeous sphere, which is the Earth, many, many astronauts of all nations had an epiphany. The barriers of nations, of race, the barriers of religion were all one. And that is the purpose of mindfulness. Let's spread that amazing story. And as we go around the world today, we see this strife and we see that strife and we see this calamity and these hardships. In one generation, we have the opportunity to change that paradigm and spread mindfulness and meditation. And together, they can't stop us from saving the world.
The brutality of conflict leaves an indelible mark on those brave men and women who defend our country.
Chronic pain, depression, these were the things that showed up for me when I separated from the service.
There's things wrong with you that you don't even know. I'm starting to get choked up.
It all began when on my first deployment in Afghanistan as a pilot, and one of the crew chiefs who I had known, he was sent home, and a week later I found out that he had committed suicide.
Right there. 4 meters that way. Right there.
The toll of military life can echo through veterans for decades.
I ended up with prostate cancer, high blood pressure, all the Agent Orange stuff.
All I know is something changed in me, and it never went away, and I didn't know who to go to.
Therapy, when it's available, can provide temporary relief, but it often leads to a reliance on self-medication to the point of no return.
Medication stopped working. I was in a dark, dark place.
It was actually a lot of fear. I had a fear of letting go, of not being really fused with my thoughts.
Homelessness, alcoholism, addiction, and shattered dreams are often the result.
Failed marriages, failed relationships, failed with your children. It's been a hard life.
Bullets and bombs damage the body, but the experience can damage the soul and the brain.
I got injured. I had multiple injuries. I had trauma, severe, and it just knocked everything out. Everything was scrambled or was just not there anymore.
22 veterans commit suicide every day. Veterans make up nearly a tenth of the adult population, but they're 18% of all suicides, more than twice the recorded suicide rate. We need to act now. Visionary Sam Beard, who has initiated and chaired public service programs for 8 presidents of the United States, is addressing the veterans' issues with a new mission.
We're going to think big. Yes, we can. We can take mindfulness and meditation and really create a national program which will impact 100,000 veterans.
The name for it is The Gift. The idea behind it, multiplying mindfulness worldwide.
Every single person in this room has experienced a kind of suffering that is very unique, significant health issues, some of which are life-threatening.
Meditation, which leads to mindfulness, is being used to combat trauma by this group of veterans in Wilmington, Delaware, under the guidance of Dr. Jenna Tedesco.
The bad news is that if you've had traumatic stress, your brain is changed. So it's almost impossible without changing the brain back. Most psychotherapies happen verbally. They happen with you trying to talk your way into being a different way, not mindfulness. Mindfulness happens because your brain platforms you to be able to be different because your brain is different.
The results of mindfulness, both mental and physical, are astonishing.
I know I used to have a really temper. I mean, things that get under my skin and really let me go off onto it. But since I've been doing this, and I've been doing this for quite a while, you really get to look at something in a different way.
I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. And it's because of that woman right there and what she started me on down the road. And I'm getting emotional, but, you know, it means a lot to me.
But I saw the immense changes in Vietnam veterans who had gone through decades of suffering, decades of suffering.
I was angry, then it was joy, then it was excitement, and then I wanted to tell all the things I felt and saw.
I am so pleased that I have mindfulness in my life that it hurts me when other people don't have it.
For me, it's a real freedom. It's a real freedom to not be trapped into believing those thoughts.
Helps me combat anger. Mindfulness helps me with my body, with my aches, my pains.
It's really helping me keep a sense of sanity.
I don't use any opiates. I don't use any alcohol at all because I don't want to anymore.
And it just gets better and better and better.
And I'd be lost without it.
Some have thrown away their medication and have discovered an ability to repair themselves. to find a kind of normalcy again. Gone is the haunting darkness that once surrounded their day-to-day existence. Using their own minds to achieve a state of mindfulness, they have a newly found inner peace.
If we don't do this for these people, shame on us as a country. Shame on us. Shame.
The Gift. Be the Gift. www.bethegift.org.
Hopefully we're going to have Sam Beard join us at some stage and give us a what's up somewhere over the weekend. He's doing such amazing work. Have box of Kleenex ready. You're going to have a good cry for sure. Yeah, so I'm honored to be here. Well, we have so much more to share with you. Yeah, for any of you that have veterans or have family members that have come back from service, there are a number of programs that you should be aware of. Team Rubicon, the beautiful work that they're doing in disaster management. They're taking, sometimes it's just that sense of camaraderie that you want with your crew. Someone who knows got your back, and for any of us, and for any of you that have been in the military, it's a form of service. You're serving your country. You're serving. Many times you have the feeling or that you're serving, there's the goal, the desire to bring something greater to the people there. I know war is a dirty word, and many of us don't choose to kill or be killed, right? But yeah, we wouldn't be experiencing what we're experiencing to some degree without sort of the protection that we have, right? So it's a complex subject, and I think it requires our compassion, our kindness, our tenderness, and our understanding. It's not easy. It's not something you can just intellectualize your way into and, oh, I understand, unless you've been there. And then if you have, one of the greatest services we can provide is to our fellow man that has been there as well. To actually, there's so many movements now that are emerging of veterans serving veterans, and there's even technologies coming out like the HERE app, which we're going to talk about, that can actually interrupt PTSD. It's so interesting. I would look forward to sharing all this wonderful stuff with you, and just give some love and thoughts, if you could, to the people in your world that have come back from that service, and really consider how much they must have gone through. We'll be sharing a bunch of resources with mindfulness resources and whatnot, so that you can gift them on this Peace Weekend, something maybe it's not as physical, but that could change their lives forever. Yeah, love you guys. Yeah, we're finally getting awake. Yeah, okay. So we have a whole bunch of adventures for you coming up that we're excited to share. So coming up next, we got a little bit of Amma in the house. Okay. So yeah, I feel like it would be a good idea for us to maybe, we lost Michael for a bit when he was just mid-sentence in terms of his film, and we got to share a little bit what was happening with Native. We're gonna have Michael back on. You want to do Amma first? All right, let's do Amma. I like Amma. I'm a big fan. All right, cue it up. And what's that? Okay. So many of you have out there listening are probably familiar with the hugging saint, Amma. Amma had she was recognized at a very young age as an avatar, as an enlightened being, and her form of service to the world is radical acceptance. But what most people don't know about Amma, she has one of the most effective organizations in the world in terms of channeling resources and teams of individual to disaster regions, to the downtrodden. Her community silently serves many hundreds of projects every year, and it's such an honor to have her blessing and her beauty, the gift of her message here, her transmission. Is a rare thing to be able to actually, to physically be in the company of, and to be embraced by a master, by an illuminated being. And so if you haven't experienced that, please experience it. It will change everything for you. So she was so kind to share a message of peace with us for the world, and we're excited to share that with you. So you guys ready to go live? Yeah, let's do it.
ആത്മസ്വരൂകളായിരിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. പ്രകൃതിയുടെ താളം മനുഷ്യനെ ആശ്രയിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നു. മനസ്സിൻ്റെയും ശരീരത്തിൻ്റെയും ആരോഗ്യത്തിനും ആയുസ്സിനും മനുഷ്യനും പ്രകൃതിയും ഈ താളം നിലനിർത്തേണ്ട ആവശ്യമാണ്. നമ്മുടെ ഈ അത്യാഗ്രഹം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ ദുരാഗ്രഹം, ഈ ദുസ്വഭാവത്തിന് മാറ്റം വരുത്താൻ നമ്മളുടെ ആത്മാർത്ഥമായ ആഗ്രഹം ആദ്യം ഉണ്ടാകും. എങ്കിലേ ലോകത്തിലും മാറ്റം വരും. എന്നാൽ നമ്മൾ മിക്കപ്പോഴും തിന്മകളെ അതിക്രമിക്കുന്നതിന് പകരം മനസ്സാക്ഷിയുടെ ശബ്ദം കേൾക്കാതിരിക്കാനാണ് നമ്മൾ ശ്രമിക്കുന്നത്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അമ്മ എപ്പോഴും പറയുന്നത്, ഈ ലോകത്തെ ഒരു മരുഭൂമിയാക്കി മാറ്റരുതേ, സ്നേഹവും കാരുണ്യവും പറ്റിപ്പോവാൻ നമ്മൾ അനുവദിക്കരുത്. അങ്ങനെ സംഭവിച്ചാൽ പിന്നെ ഇവിടെ മനുഷ്യനുണ്ടാകില്ല. മനോഹരമായ ലോകം മനുഷ്യമൃഗങ്ങൾ നിറഞ്ഞ കാടായി മാറും. നമുക്കെല്ലാം അറിവുണ്ട് ഇതൊക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെയാണ്, പക്ഷെ ബോധമില്ല. അതുകൊണ്ട് അമ്മ പറയാം, അറിവുണ്ട് ബോധമില്ല, ഇവരുകൊണ്ട് വിവേകമില്ല. നമ്മുടെയൊക്കെ ബുദ്ധി വളരുന്നു, പക്ഷേ ഹൃദയം വരളാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ പോവാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് അമ്മ പറയും, ഈശ്വര ശക്തിയെ മടികൂടാതെ നമ്മൾ കൂട്ടുപിടിക്കണമെന്ന് പറയാൻ കാണും. ആ ഈശ്വരശക്തിയെ മടികൂടാതെ കൂട്ടുപിടിക്കണമെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമ്മൾ അഹങ്കാരമില്ലാത്ത പ്രയത്നത്തെ കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ. ഈശ്വര സർവ്വവ്യാപിയാണ്, എല്ലാത്തിലും കുടികൊള്ളുന്നത്. ധർമ്മത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രതീകം, സത്യത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രതീകം, ദാനത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രതീകം, സ്നേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രതീകം, പ്രകാശത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രതീകം, ജ്ഞാനത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രതീകം, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു തത്വമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈശ്വര വിശ്വാസത്തിൽ നിന്ന് നമുക്ക് ധർമ്മത്തെ കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ പറ്റും. ധർമ്മമാണല്ലോ താളലയം സൃഷ്ടിക്കുന്നത്. പ്രാർത്ഥനയിലൂടെ സ്നേഹത്തിൻ്റെ വിത്താണ് നമ്മൾ വിതയ്ക്കുന്നത്. കുറേ വെള്ളത്തുള്ളികൾ ചേരുമ്പോഴാണ് ഒരു നദിയാകുന്നത്. അതിന് സമുദ്രങ്ങളുണ്ടായി, സമുദ്രമായതും നദിയായതും ഒക്കെ കുറേ വെള്ളത്തുള്ളികൾ ചേർന്നാണ്. ഒരു സീറോ ബൾബിന് മുമ്പിൽ ഇന്ന് പഠിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല, പക്ഷെ അനേക സീറോ ബൾബുകൾ വരുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് പഠിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. കൂട്ടായ്മ ഒരാൾ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ അടുത്താൾ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു മാറ്റം ഉണ്ടാകും. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഒറ്റപ്പെട്ട ദ്വീപല്ല, നമ്മളൊരു ശൃംഖലയുടെ കണ്ണിയാണ്. അവർ മാറി നമ്മൾ മാറാൻ കണക്കില്ല. അവർ മാറിയില്ലെങ്കിലും നമ്മൾ മാറിയാൽ അവരിൽ മാറ്റം ഉണ്ടാക്കാമെന്ന് പറയുന്നതാണ്. പ്രാർത്ഥനയിലൂടെ സ്നേഹത്തിൻ്റെ വിത്താണ് നമ്മൾ വിതയ്ക്കുന്നത്. സ്നേഹമുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിലുള്ള ഒരു റൊട്ടി രണ്ടും പരസ്പരം പങ്കുവെച്ചില്ലേ കഴിക്കും. അതുപോലെ മറ്റുള്ളവർ നമ്മൾ ചിന്തിക്കുകയല്ല, കഴിക്കും. ഒരു മരുഭൂമിയിൽ ഒരു പുഷ്പം വളർന്ന അത്രയും ഭംഗിയുണ്ടല്ലോ, ഒരു വൃക്ഷം നിന്ന് അത്രയും തണൽ കിട്ടത്തില്ലേ. പ്രാർത്ഥന സ്നേഹമാണ്. സ്നേഹത്തിന് ശുദ്ധമായ തരംഗമാണ് അതിലൂടെ ലോകവും പരക്കുന്നത്. താമര സൂര്യപ്രകാശം കൊണ്ട് വിരിയുന്നുണ്ട്. ആമ്പലെന്ന് പറയും, അല്ലി എന്നും പറയും. സൂര്യപ്രകാശം ചന്ദ്രനിൽ തട്ടിയിട്ട് വരുമ്പോൾ ആ ചന്ദ്രപ്രകാശം കൊണ്ടാണ് ആമ്പൽപ്പൂ വിരിയുന്നത്. താഴമ്പൂ അങ്ങനെയല്ല, അത് ഇടിവെട്ടിയാലേ വിരിയുള്ളൂ. ഇടിവെട്ടിയാലേ നമ്മൾ താഴമ്പൂവിന് വിരിയത്തുള്ളെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഇനിയും ദുരന്തങ്ങളുണ്ടാകാൻ കാത്തു നിൽക്കാതെ നമ്മൾ ഉണരണം. ഇപ്പം നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട് ഓർത്ത് വിലപിച്ച് നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതം നഷ്ടപ്പെടുത്താതെ നമ്മളുള്ള ഈ രത്നം എന്നുവെച്ചാൽ ഈ നിമിഷം, ഈ രത്നം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ നിമിഷമാണ്. ഈ നിമിഷത്തെ വിവേകത്തോടും നമ്മൾ നീങ്ങിയാൽ നമ്മൾ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും സന്തോഷവും ഐശ്വര്യവും സമൃദ്ധിയും നമുക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ സാധിക്കും. പ്രേമസ്വരൂപികൾ ആത്മസ്വരൂപികളായിരിക്കുന്ന
people that have helped found it, help create it, help sustain it. But really the story about UNIFY. Okay, tell me when. So it's good to be back here with you all and the UNIFY family. So many people have asked, like, what is UNIFY exactly? It looks like a company or an organization. Okay, well, legally speaking, we're something called a hybrid organization. A hybrid organization is part nonprofit, part for-profit, and legal lines drawn in the sand between them. Never the two shall meet. But actually, UNIFY is more closer to a movement, right? And UNIFY is actually the story of many thousands of organizations, many millions of people, and we tried to create it that way. So for that reason, I mean, people looked at, like, why isn't there an about section and isn't there a team page? Well, it's not that there isn't a dedicated army of awesome humans behind UNIFY. It's that we didn't want to create ego around it and be like, this is my business. It's not really. It's a movement, and our intention is to build UNIFY in such a way that it can be humanities. So that's the reason. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the world right now. Well, our jam is these global synchronized meditations. But, we realize that there's different ways in which we can bring people into the experience of that meditation. And so this year we're going yang to yin. We're doing this World Peace Weekend. We're starting with world peace parties all around the world that you got to come to. That's today in the evening. We're going to take you on tour with us to Decentralized Dance Party. You're going to trip out when you see this. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. If you want to know, you go to our Facebook and find the DDP video, and you're going to have yourself a laugh. And then, but it's a real thing, and they've been doing it for 9 years. And then Saturday, September 22nd, we're going to be doing Radical Acts of Compassion in the World. Do something nice for someone once in your life. Jesus, God. When's the last time you stepped outside of your comfort zone? Do something about it. All right. And then we're getting together on a global synchronized meditation. This is a good time to bring your mom and sister and show them what it feels like to meditate. I don't know if you've ever been in a flash mob. It's fun because you really are aware that you're pushing up against the boundaries of what's acceptable in a society. But then it really makes you question, well, who set those rules? Who set those boundaries? And the answer to that is, well, we did kind of implicitly, but they're not really real. And so it's a really wonderful feeling if you've ever had the experience, because you're like, oh my God, everybody's looking at us. And if you're by yourself, you'd feel like you're crazy. But you're just that good type of crazy, aren't you? To be unified with all these other, to get with your friends and experiment with pushing those boundaries a bit. So if you haven't had a chance, if you haven't experienced it, dare you to experience it. It's real simple. Go to the map at unify.org and find one in your city. It's just find the city you're in, search it out, and be like, is there something going on here? And if there isn't one, do one. It's easy, and it can be small. You really want to get hardcore, invite 100 or 200 of your friends to Times Square and just go and meditate together in a visible place. There's a group that did it on a meridian on a highway. It was awesome. They were finding inner peace there. But part of it is in a really loving, peaceful way, being disruptive. Not disruptive like that crazy jerk off in the subway going, losing their mind. I'm not talking about that guy. I'm talking about disruptive, like positively disruptive, like make a ripple in the matrix around you, to push up against the boundaries of it. It's healthy, So if you haven't been to a flash mob, I encourage you this weekend, step outside of your comfort zone. And the way to do that, the easiest way is to do it with your friends. You give each other permission, encourage. So can't wait to share with you what's happening. Bam, we love you so much. And there's a whole family around the world that's doing this. They're self-organizing. Can you believe this? So these events, there's meditation events, there's party events, there's marches, and there's multiples. Multiples mean that they're doing a march, a party, and a meditation, or and a huge shout out to some of the organizations that we've been working with this year. For Gaia, for helping make this broadcast happen, for our friends at UNIFY that have developed a beautiful app that we're going to share with you that allows people to take collective social action, to our homies at X Movement that are bringing this message into schools all around the world, to Billion Acts of Peace that have been holding it down, to United Religions Initiative that are just that have 948 cooperation circles around the world joining us, or to Earth Dance that are doing parties around the world as well on today and tomorrow. Thank you so much for all your work. There's so many that I haven't named at all. You'll get to experience it. Our friends at the Here app, I can't wait to show you what that's about. You guys you can have a cry about it. And our friends at Evolve Biologics. I can't tell you what they have done because I'll be spilling it, but you're gonna find out, and you're gonna get rocked, just like we were. But huge thank you to Coin Payments. We're actually shooting from the Coin Payments office, and they've been so kind to let us be here and just occupy their entire space and turn it into a war room or a peace room and a broadcast center. And we've got all of our organic snacks and all of our computers out, and we're hardcore waging peace together. We don't even know what we're doing, but it's happening right now. Okay, this is what's up. All right, so join us September 21st to 23rd for the broadcast. Dial in, roll with us. We're going to let you give you ways to participate, and even go live. Once we're dialed in, you can come on to what we're up to. And we're now accepting over 900 cryptocurrencies. We need to make this a reality, what we're up to. Please feel free to share and help us with what we're up to. We're funding world peace. Those who love peace must learn to organize effectively as those who love war. We're doing our best over here. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's get back to it. again, if you get a chance, unify.org or facebook.com/unify is where you can see some real-time juju from the front lines. We're going to go back to Michael Sean. I can't pronounce his last name properly. Conaway, right? Just Conaway. And so we got to see a little bit about his project Native, and he dropped off. He's at the UN, busy with very official things in the world. So we wanted to see if we could maybe get him back on and give us a few words about what he's up to with Native. Want to bring him back on?
Hi, I'm
Oh, yeah,
And I'm Michael Sean Conaway.
And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about Native.
Am I on mute?
Now, one of the things that is really, really clear, especially talking about the big economic box where everybody in the world plays inside it, is that it's a win-lose situation, or competitive world, competing nation against nation, person against person, and it's created a lot of growth for humanity. This kind of I think our age of explorers and whatnot. But it's also caused a lot of collateral damage. There's been a lot lost in this process of competing and consuming and competing. I think it's really interesting for us to consider for a minute, is there something beyond a competition game framework for humanity?
Yeah, and I think it's clear that there is the potential for new types of structures to emerge that kind of move beyond this idea of competition and win-loss structures. But it's challenging for me to conceptualize in a lot of ways, just because of the level of depth, at least our culture in the West, in America, goes to express this concept that winning and losing is the way things work. Right. Everything from sports events to what grade do we get on a paper to am I going to make it into this college? Am I in my job, are we competing with the other local pizza shop down the road? Everything is this, how do we take more of the winnings than somebody else at the expense of that other person or group or company or whatever it is? And
which is the tragedy of the commons. Tragedy of the commons is that there's something in the commons that has a finite amount of resources. I'm going to be incentivized to consume more than I need, because if I don't, somebody else might consume more than they need and run us out of the resource. Therefore, I have to consume as fast as I can so that I don't get beaten out on those resources. And so we treat everything that way. We're at work and you're my colleague, but I'm competing with you because I want to get the next level up, and therefore I work with you, but I work with you with this notion that I want to one up you. I want to get one better on you.
And the tragedy to that is, even if there's just one person or one group, even if all 99.99% of groups is like, yeah, let's do this whole new way of doing things, one group can come in and ruin it for everybody. So and it's really hard to change every single human being's opinion on something, especially from something so fundamentally ingrained in our psyches about this concept that more for me is better. So how can you kind of move one degree beyond this idea that like ethics and moral changes are necessary, but how can we actually change the entire structure of this economic systems that are in place to incentivize this benevolent behavior, benevolent / anti-rivalrous behavior that will ultimately benefit those who, in certain circumstances, might still even want to take from others, try to win. It makes it less of a viable and effective option for them to do so.
Well, and I think it's like, I think we have this really shallow idea of nature and evolution. We think of survival of the fittest and competition, and we just know Darwin was wrong. Most systems that are competitive collapse because something consumes all the resources and that thing dies, and the things, other things that are dependent on the resources die too. What we find is most effective in natural systems is systems where participant A does something that benefits participant B and they get better, and then participant B does something that makes participant A get better. So, bees and pollination, or grass and cows, or many senses, ways to see this kind of notion of collaboration and win-win. I mean, the bee doesn't lose by moving the pollen around; it wins by bringing the pollen around, and the trees win by having the pollen that moved, and then they offer nectar to the bee, which allows the bees to win as well. So we talk about anti-rivalrous or win-win. Nature is full of win-win systems. In fact, win-win systems are really all we have, because the ones that weren't win-win, they died out. So the ones that could get the collaboration at the highest levels are the ones that including our body, right? We're combined of millions of microbes and stuff like that are in collaboration together to keep this body running and functioning.
But what does that say? What does that say about, for example, the lion who eats other creatures for its form of sustenance? Is his need for eating this creature, can that still be included in anti-rivalrous?
Because we know in places where there are grazing animals and there are no predators, that the grazing animals grow to too large of a population for the environment, and they consume all the food and they die. They starve to death. So the predator plays a place in that system too, of keeping the balance. And obviously we don't want to extend human beings to that. We don't want to because we try to think of ourselves as the top predator, but we've not been really good at maintaining balance. I'm thinking this is a natural system, not a conscious system. So really what we're talking about is this idea of rivalry or win-lose to anti-rivalry, which is win-win, but it's not just non-rivalrous. So there's a stop between there's rivalrous, which is win-lose. There's non-rivalrous, where we get the same. To anti-rivalrous means that when I win, you win as much as I do, or maybe more. Mm-hmm. Like anything that benefits me actually benefits you or other players in the system. And when you have scarce resources, actually, if you think of this anti-rivalrous system, it increases value throughout the whole system. Anytime somebody creates value for themselves, it increases value throughout the rest of the system. And there's some other amazing smart thinkers in this domain. If you want to check out deeply anti-rivalry, I'd suggest Daniel Schmachtenberg. Neurohacker Collective is one source that we look to. But one of the things that's important to us is that native is an economic system that is naturally, normally, and structurally an anti-rivalrous system. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think one of the most interesting elements of the Bancor protocol is that there's this concept of a reserve or a connector that essentially acts as a supportive element in the pricing mechanism for each token that exists on the Bancor network. And when you understand that the underlying base token is a shared reserve amongst many of the other tokens or communities or projects that are built on top of the Bancor protocol, there is an inherent understanding that if the value of that underlying reserve token increases, then it increases for everybody.
Yeah.
So there's kind of two dynamics. One is if more projects join the Bancor network in the same way the native network, there is as more people join, then more of that base currency is generated to maintain, and while still maintaining that underlying reserve weight that's in place. But the value of each new token generated is slightly increases. So more communities on Native, more projects on Bancor, all support each other inherently because they each hold this underlying.
They're tied together on this underlying currency. So the underlying currency sits there, and in the case of just Native, we was talking about Native token. Native token sits there, and then multiple tribes sit on top of that, and they hold Native token in their reserve. So if Native were to go up, then their token goes up.
All the value of the tribe goes up, and so there's more projects being added to Native, but then there's also within an individual project level, there is the opportunity for one tribe to grow or increase in value, which through kind of the entire cycle of the economy ultimately creates more Native tokens anyways, because there's more value being put in those tribes. So whether it's Native bringing more tribes in or one tribe
doing
succeeding,
well or producing a great result,
it's inherently benefiting all of the other tribes and communities on that.
So any growth or any winning on the Native platform causes the whole platform to win. So if I have a community, on Native, and we are just doing great. Maybe we're generating profit, even bringing in a lot of people, tens of thousands of people interacting and producing great projects. And then I've got a friend that's got a really small community, maybe something he really loves or she really loves, and it's not generating that profit. But still, by the activity we're doing, it raises the value of Native token, and that person wins as well. So this notion of winning, it's not winning at the expense of anybody else. It's winning, and then they get winning too.
And I think that this gets to a really core challenge that exists today in our society, where we're all supposed to go for the big thing. We're all supposed to, success is defined as being the Mark Zuckerberg, being the Jeff Bezos, the person who creates this massive kind of organization. But in reality, or in the realm of possibilities, not everybody wants to or can be that person. And that doesn't make people who don't start these massive things any less than
or less valuable
in they're providing the value that they want to be providing to the world. And the people who maybe do create these large organizations, these, the Bezoses, the Zuckerbergs, the whatever, they can actually support thousands, if not tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people just by doing what they're doing. And the trickle-down effect from that just should be able to support all of these people without any additional effort or loss from the Zuckerberg side.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a matter of finding ways to add value, and then finding mechanisms. And this is what you talked about at the beginning. You're talking about mechanisms that make that increase in value shared. And I think in companies we have that. People get stock options and whatnot. It's just the formula is slightly off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean and there's been a lot of experiments in hey, the top executive can only make 50 times or 20 times the top employee versus right now it's tens of thousands of times in some cases. But these are all really mature, grown-up experiments. These are things that humanity needs to do to be able to survive on this planet or thrive on this planet, is to find ways to restore some of these imbalances and get back to more natural systems or systems that are collaborative and therefore sustainable.
And I think the last kind of point that I have on this is I think it's important for me especially to remember that things that I'm talking about, things that we're talking about, it's by no means meant to be an attack on any of the current structures that are in place. But quite the opposite. It's I'm very grateful to a lot of the structures that have been put into place and that have gotten us to where we are today. Because without it, we wouldn't have the possibility to even be thinking about the kinds of things that we're thinking about right now. So, it's really this, for me, it's this concept of like standing on the shoulders of giants and, respecting the fact that these governments, these corporations, these organizations have gotten us to this point today where we're able to design these new economic systems that could potentially be the next step for humanity as a whole to grow in a much more altruistic way and work towards an even more desirable society for everyone.
More beautiful future. Yeah. And the work we're doing right now is not even, it's just the start. I mean, it's really, we're at the very starting line. The people that come and build on native, and then the people that learn from those people, and kind of the open source approach to learning about value and community and economies will benefit generations to come. And so we're very thankful for having the opportunity to be able to make an impact like that. Thank you guys for joining us. We're all about community, and you're our community. Please comment below. If you have questions, put questions in. We'll hop on one of these video conversations and try to answer any questions. A lot of what we're talking about is theoretical. Some of the pieces that we're building native on are new ideas. Some of them are old ideas, but the moment in time right now is a time for experimentation and invention, and we're really excited to be doing that with you guys. So thank you for your time, and we'll talk soon again.
Thank you.
Hey, Dale. It's
Hey,
Michael
guys.
Shannon. I've got Jake Bartanian here with me. That's
Nice.
Jake here. Camera over
What's
to
up,
me.
Jake? How you guys doing?
We have one set of Bluetooth headphones. We have to share the microphone. So
Oh my God. Okay.
for
Okay.
our primitive broadcast capabilities here at the UN. Here's Jake. Hello.
What's up, Jake?
Meet you, Adele. How are you doing
Hey,
today?
nice to meet you. Wonderful, man. Wonderful. We've been up for, I think, like 48 hours. Our whole crew kind of getting everything ready for this late night. So we're all like going on an hour of sleep and no caffeine. It's been a whole adventure, man, getting this place like set up. You have no idea. It's like lighting up the space.
Putting it all
Yeah.
together. Totally awesome.
Yeah, man. How are you guys? You're at the UN?
We are currently at the UN. There's some kind of amazing presentations happening by kind of a lot of the global leaders here, and I flew in from Korea about 24 hours ago and staying here for the day, and then we have an event at the assemblage in Manhattan this evening for kind of a pre-launch of Native. So in a similar vein, it's been kind of nonstop for us as well, but it feels good to be doing things that can actually create meaningful impact in the world. And it's really this, it's like the no sleep kind of is less, it's less of a thing when doing something that's truly meaningful and something that's where the passion actually lies.
I was asking a friend of mine, I'm like, what's Native up to? Like, what is it? And they're like, dude, it's badass. I'm like, tell me more. And they're like, well, they're culture hacking the social operating system. I'm like, now you're talking my language. Tell me more. So what does that mean? Like, what is
like that? I like this. Yeah.
What's that?
I've never heard it worded in that way, and I really like it. It makes a lot of sense.
Doesn't it? Like, could you help me understand or help the video is wonderful, and in your words, like how is native token culture hacking anything? What does that even mean?
How is native culture hacking? Well, I think that I might change, for purposes of right now, I might change hacking to a culture experimentation, and because right now we've kind of to date been participants in various societies around the world that were kind of led by these national governments, and we've had very kind of limited monetary policies and governance structures to kind of to experiment with and play with to see kind of what works best to effectively meet the needs and the interests of those in these societies, in these various cultures. And you know, if we think about the actual possibilities that are out there, the opportunities for monetary policy types and governance structures are almost endless. So at Native, we basically have created a very flexible set of tools that kind of acts as a I guess we can call it a culture hacking lab, maybe is the way to put it, where we can take communities of different types and we can deploy kind of our recommended monetary policies and governance policies based on the data that we've collected and say, well, you know, let's try this out and see how your community members kind of engage, whether it is effectively creating a sustainable or regenerative economy for this community that can act kind of independently of any sort of external systems, but can also move into those other external systems if needed. So, you know, we are launching with our first 5 communities on October 1st on Ethereum's mainnet. And, you know, basically what this means, you know, for those who are a little more kind of crypto blockchain savvy, is we're actually deploying 5 DAOs all at once, where we have kind of member-based voting, local currencies for each community. If you own a little bit of the currency, you become a member of that community. And really just kind of flipping those power structures upside down and moving funds more effectively into these local groups. So our money, our stored up energy, our you know, what everyone works so hard and spends their time to build is actually being put to use in a way that is relatable and meaningful to each one of those people.
Could you define a DAO for us? I mean, there's the actual terminology is decentralized autonomous organization. But, you know, in simple terms, like for those that aren't kind of, you know, got their crypto groove on, what is that?
Yeah, so, you know, this is something I would say, I'll say broadly speaking, we are constantly at Native trying to find ways to kind of relay some of this more technical knowledge in a way that is more digestible by the person who doesn't have the interest in like spending, you know, endless hours to kind of figure out what is all the technical details around this stuff. So specifically with a DAO, you know, decentralized autonomous organization. I think that the best way to put it is if you think of members in an organization, let's call them like agents or the participants. You basically have a bunch of people who kind of in a democratized structure, I think is the best way to put it, who are all kind of voting and making decisions on things collectively without there being necessarily one kind of central authority at the top who's that kind of main decision maker, where everyone else is just kind of following their lead. In the case of a DAO, a decision could be made by, let's say, one member of one of these organizations says, "Hey, I think it would be a good idea for us to you know, build this playground in this small town here because it will do X, Y, and Z, and you know, a lot of kids will come play on it, and it'll be great for the community. You know, do you guys think we should do this?" And in a DAO or one of these kind of alternatively structured organizations, it would actually come down to a member vote to determine whether or not the funds for that playground, which could be stored in the community or DAO fund, should actually be allocated to building that playground. So it's just you know, a way to really at the kind of bottom level make these decisions in a way that is transparent and in a way that is actually in line with the sentiments of the people in the organization.
Wow, brother, we are about to have some fun. That's for sure. Now I kind of have a better understanding of why the universe has orchestrated us meeting in this auspicious way. With UNIFY, we weren't anticipating that this would happen, but every time we've done this and done a major event on the International Day of Peace or Earth Day or World Water Day, we got, I don't know, it's like on average like 700 to 1,500 events around the world happening simultaneously. I think it's gone up to maybe up to about 1,700 or so. I don't remember. Anyways, that result is that they're self-organizing. They're just doing their we put out an invite to put an event together, and they take the trouble to actually find a location and put up posters and recruit people and show up there. And some of these events we've had like, I don't know, like 1,000, 5,000. One we had 35,000 people. Like what's going on? Like, it's like it feels like a self-organizing movement in the aggregate without a resistance to something else. It's not like we're doing this against in protest to anything. It's more, it's almost like an innate expression of their desire for unity. And for anybody who's been in a march, what's the joy of the march? It's actually the feeling of like, wow, I am in unity with all these people. Like we're carrying the same values. We're feeling the same thing right now. Like shit, what can we do together, right? That feeling grows and grows, and those communities. I mean, a little trend that we've been seeing is I think we've got about something like 27,000 event organizers now around the world. So I would love to experiment with you guys in terms of what could we do to bless up those communities, because they're going from what I've been watching is these communities come together to meditate or to do an Earth Day or it's like pretty much the same group of people that are coming together. And then, if they really fall in love, they end up getting like a community center somewhere or an ashram, or we have a location in France that's a monastery, a 600-year-old monastery. It just becomes a central coordinating point for these types of people. But,
I'm going to throw a weird one in there really quick. There's a project called Decentraland, where it's an immersive VR world, and they actually have this grid of land plots that you can purchase, and you could buy a plot of land, and you can 3D render any kind of objects on that plot of land that you want. So what you were mentioning are a lot of like Earth-based, geographically local community centers. But another thing that we've been kind of exploring and figuring out the best way to implement, probably not in our V1, but in a V2, we'll say, is it's actually having community centers being these decentralized plots of land that don't exist anywhere except in the ether. But you could put on your VR headset and you could actually go in and hang out with all of the community members in your community center that is
decentralized.
Yeah.
Wow, what an interesting emergence! Like that's going to be so huge. Wow, I mean, it's like another version of the Earth that people can actually begin to. Well, I mean, you can have multiple dimensions of reality that people are experimenting with. Wow, unreal. Like I guess kind of boggles the mind a little bit. Hey, and just to think about the relationship of those worlds that are existing and growing, and a little Ready Player One, how they interrelate with the actual physical communities that exist, and there's actual centers. But I always think of it like maybe it's doing a little too much ayahuasca, or getting hit with LSD at the wrong time. But man, I see holographic blueprints sometimes. Is that a bad thing? Like, that's what happens. But it's a fundamental question. I think many of us that have had the experience is when we experience psychedelic states, are we actually peering into the nature of the existing holographic reality that's there, or is my perception altered somehow, and I'm just like a little messed up with what's going on now? I mean, I think we're actually peering into a multidimensional reality. Like it's actually a thing. And my sense is it's somewhat malleable. Like this is somewhat malleable. I can it's less malleable than other realities, but they're nested. And so I wonder what happens when the luminal reality, like we can actually create the luminal reality and overlay it on top of like, our physical reality. I'll give you a kind of where my mind is going. My friend yesterday, he was just Jason Parker. He's here actually, and he was just like, bro, I just got back from AR VR hackathon, bro, with 250 like hackers that are just crushing it. We created 25 games, and I'm like, and what are you guys doing? And they're like, we're laser mapping physical areas and like turning them into virtual worlds for real, but we're overlaying them over the virtual worlds and creating, I'm like, what now? And my homie, another homie of mine, Amaya Fernandez, Amaya from the Mayan Heart Festival, this December 21 got the rights to do a massive event at Teotihuacan. And what he's been asking for is, hey, can we have, can UNIFY help and have the organizers show up at Chichen Itza and Palenque and Tikal and Stonehenge and Jerusalem and the pyramids of Giza? And we got jamming about that. And the AR VR guys were like, why don't we just map the shit out of all that? And why don't we allow people virtually to enter Giza and Stonehenge and create communities around those sacred sites? Anyways, it's an interesting conversation we're having, the dynamic between, the feeling of unity in a virtual community and the feeling of unity in a physical community. And what are we really looking for? We're looking for that unification. We're looking for that love, right? The panacea to our loneliness and our separation, right? It's like, so anyhow, it's interesting how our deepest human values kind of express themselves physically and virtually the same thing, whether you're playing with the building blocks of light or you're playing with bricks and mortar. We're living in such interesting times, where we can have vehicles like Native Token, that's like a medium of exchange, could be a medium of exchange amongst those communities. Anyways.
It's interesting because when I think you go to you think of the first kind of example of kind of what I'll kind of move into was of a project that was kind of based on a weird kind of community based energy being allocated, probably a little more than it deserved, but it doesn't, what does deserve actually mean? The community, Dogecoin, you think of, Dogecoin was a kind of simple alternative cryptocurrency of which there were many of them created, right after kind of Bitcoin that had slight modifications of the code. But Dogecoin was kind of built around this Shiba Inu meme, which has now just all over the world gathered such a weird and crazy amount of attention and energy around it. And, it just kind of shows the abstract nature of value that we're really moving into. And, things that we traditionally value in an economic system might not really be the things that actually people who can decide where they want to allocate their energy and their value are going to actually allocate it. And I think that's
what's
really
the value equation? So sorry to cut you off. I'm trying to get my head around this. I've been trying to figure this out, Jake. Like, what is the value of Doge? I mean, I think it's number 3 or number 4. And one of my friends is like, you'll meet Gary Lachance from the DDP. If you don't know him already, he's a gangster. Dude, he's my boy. So we're doing the DDP thing together, and he's always trying to convert me to his religion of worshiping the Doge. He's like, it's like God, but if you were to reverse it and make it e-God, e-God is Doge. And I'm like, right.
Dude.
Dude. And like, I come home and there's like stickers up on my crystals and shit with the Doge on my altars. And I'm like, who put this Doge on my altar, y'all? I'm like, that's Gary. That's what it's doing. It's like, what do we value? Like, what is the Doge? And me and Gary were having such a deep conversation about it. We're like, it's Doge consciousness, bro. That's what it is.
So what I think the basic answer to the question maybe is, what is the value of Doge? Gary is the value of Doge to a large degree.
Right.
All the collective of Garys around the world who are putting this energy into Doge, whether it is from purchasing the Doge coins themselves or just creating stories around the Doge and turning it into this theological energy up. And when you kind of extrapolate this vision of Doge into something like, well, on native, you could create a community about anything. Let's create a community about Labrador lovers, golden retriever lovers, whatever else kind of lovers.
What's the spirit of native? Like, what is the spirit of this? Like, what's your thought about its consciousness? Like, Gary was rocking me with like Doge being sort of Shiba Inu consciousness, and it's actually Gary consciousness. You're totally right. It's just like presence, But
I think you said it perfectly. It's like, when we can create all of these different communities of like whatever we want, as flexible as we want, and we can allocate as much energy or attention as there actually is. There's no restrictions on how much flow is going to go into what, and something totally weird like something like Doge being worth billions of dollars is fine because it's an accurate depiction of how much energy at any given time is being directed towards that. And in the form of native, not only is that energy being directed towards that, but we provide a back end to that system also beyond the token that provides a governance structure. Like, okay, so now we've got all this energy aggregated into this one place. Like, what are we going to do with it? And how do we best meet the needs of these Shiba Inu lovers and or whatever other thing?
Labrador lovers.
Lab lovers.
UNIFY lovers.
UNIFY lovers.
well, homies, check this out. I'm so inspired by this conversation, Jake. We should, if we get a chance, go deeper because right now, if you get a chance to take a look on the map at unify.org, I think there's how many events are there, guys? It's like there's a few, huh? There's like let me just tell you, there's oops. Oh yeah, 1,333 events around the world, and it will ramp up to over 1,700 probably by the time this is. By the time we're there, it usually goes crazy but we should figure out a little beta test and, maybe propose to the community at large that's listening, like, where do they find out more? What's the URL?
The URL is nativeproject.one. The mainnet application will be out on October 1st with a direct link from nativeproject.one. And
go by the website at nativeproject.one and sign up to our mailing list. We'll let you know about the releases of the software, and check us out on Facebook as well. Like us there, and we'll have these live applications with Peace Accelerators and Earth Guardians, Film Collective, education groups. Basically, it'll be really interesting to watch these first communities take a hold of these feature sets and really grow, grow community. And we'd love to be with UNIFY. God, it'd be just an amazing thing to see how your community takes off with their own token. And with numbers and attention, the number could be quite large. I mean, the amount of value you guys could aggregate could be quite large. And then with value, you can direct that value and attention towards the projects you want to create. And so it could be a unified, exponential, unify squared kind of experience at that point.
Okay, well, awesome, guys. I'm so like if they don't stop me, I'm going to talk to you all day. So okay. I love you guys. So let's I'm excited. Thank you, guys. Thanks for taking the time, guys. Good luck. Hey, good luck with the UN, and get out there, get it, follow that flow. It's such a wild adventure in New York. Yeah, bless you guys so much. Have fun. We'll see you at the party tonight, huh? Hope to see you guys' face. We'll be shooting live from Peace Accelerators tonight, and from the DDP here. We'll be patching back and forth from East Coast and West Coast. It's going to be a multi-camera shoot, and it's a thing. So we don't know what we're doing, but we're going to figure it the frick out.
We do together.
Anyways, we're off to our next adventure. Thanks so much, guys. I love you, and let's stay on the level, and maybe we'll run an experiment with some of the UNIFY audience after September 24th, maybe around your launch. Be fun.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
See you, Dale.
Okay, guys. Much love. Peace. Oh yeah. I keep falling into like, should I just be that CNN correspondent to just go crazy, or what's happening? I'm just kidding. So you know what? We got one of my best homies ever, who's part of the founding team of UNIFY, one of the great inspirations actually of UNIFY. Me and Adam jammed about December 21, 2012 for quite some time, and he's been probably one of the most advanced light workers I've known, and carrying the prophecy full force, and just a guardian of truth and beauty, and true brother. And I'm so excited to introduce you. Well, I'm sure a lot of you know Adam Apollo, but hey, Adam, what's up, homie? Can you hear me?
Good day to you, sir.
Good day. Good day. Thanks for being so patient there, brother. We're getting our bearings in terms of time. So yeah, Adam, what's going on? What is happening? Where are you? You're in your magic chamber there. I can see with your crystals and tetrahedrons and sword, brother. Yeah, I want to hand it over to you. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Good morning.
I'm fantastic. I'm riding the wave of all the chaos coming into coherence that happens, as we start off one of these campaigns. And sometimes it's a little bit of a bumpy road, but there's so much energy and so much desire for people to come together and to connect and to really drop in, that I feel that the intention of the collective actually drives us into the coherent state. So I'm honored. I'm riding that wave, and I'm back here in my magical tower here in Western North Carolina. And today I really would like to share with some of our viewers some of the nature of peace itself, and what peace is about for me, and some of the journeys that I've been on that have revealed to me more about the nature of creating and cultivating peace, and how this works not only in ourselves. And it's not just a self-development process, but it's a process of actually co-creating a specific kind of state inside of us and outside of us with other people. I was just holding ceremony with Indigenous elders at a place called Collective Legacy, for about a week. And during our time there, we had some really amazing healing experiences happen. And these healing experiences happened because of, in some cases, a lack of people showing up, and a lack of communication, a lack of structure, and a lot of our Native American family elders who were there, in the initial days of the experience, were feeling concerned and frustrated and not knowing, how well is this field going to be held, and how deep can we actually go in the work together to create a field of peace, a field of strong coherence that could make a difference for the people who own the land, that could make a difference for the people leaving this event and this experience. And I noticed also that, for many of our community and our tribe, one of the ways that we come together and make peace is we get together and we dance and we create and we make music and we absorb ourselves in the experience and the wave of the power of sound and music and life itself, and celebrate the joy of its energy. And I noticed in this evening that we had this unbelievably beautiful musical experience with Jess Magic and Elijah Ray, and some of the other amazing musicians who were there and present with us. And everybody was just in this exquisite state of communion and bliss and synchronization with each other. And it was absolutely wonderful. But I noticed that many of the Native American elders that had joined us for this experience were not there. And they didn't get an experience of this peacemaking from inside of this event. And the next morning, one of the grandmothers called a circle of other grandmothers and sat together. And in that circle, shared a lot of concerns about them bringing their sweat lodge, them bringing their ceremony here, that we're not committed to the prayer, that we're not committed to actually holding the circle as tight as we need to hold it. Concerns about how women dress, or how men are distracted, or how we're going to show up, and if we're just another festival culture going to waste resources and throw them on the ground and lose a state of consciousness in which we're deeply caring for the world that we're in and the world that we're a part of. And we all sat and we listened, and we all took it in. You know, we took in her pain and her grief and her anger and her fear that we weren't going to be able to come into a state of communion, and that, you know, whatever levels of our own freedom and culture and expressions were somehow possibly wrong in the eyes of these elders who we deeply, deeply respect. And as the day unfolded, more and more people came forward and shared from the depths of their heart and from the core of their being why we come together and we celebrate at night, and why for women it's so important that they be able to dress in whatever way makes them feel deeply empowered and deeply connected to their bodies, and how we are so different from, you know, something like Boom Festival, and that we are interested in taking care of the land, and we're interested in cultivating leadership together. And over the whole day, it brought up all the pain and all the fear and all the grief in one elder in particular, and to the point where by the end of the day, I sat across the fire from her, and she was deeply apologizing for the judgments that she had projected on us from her own experience and from her own traumas, and particularly things that kind of were laid into her from her religion as a child. And I watched as her healing happened, as her release of judgment happened and her acceptance dawned and her realization of the beauty of the space that she was in, it actually healed everybody else too. And everybody stepped into a deeper state of communion and connection. And that night we did a musical space again, and we held a cacao ceremony in which, you know, everybody drank this absolutely delicious, like the most delicious, thickest hot chocolate you've ever had. And we're singing these call and response songs with different elders who are, you know, on the stage and coming in. And we brought her, this grandmother, onto the stage, and she sang a call and response song. And it took the entire field of everybody who was maybe angry with her, or who had felt really shamed by what she had shared, or felt challenged during this whole day that was really difficult. It was surfacing a lot of shadow. She took us all to this whole new place where we entered the fields of peace together. And it was magnificent. And for me, that is the ultimate example of what a distributed dance party can do, or, you know, these powerful events that we do off grid, or these festivals that we go to. It's really about one person, maybe you, owning your stuff, owning your judgments. How do you judge people? How do you judge the world? What are the ways that you're afraid of other people and other ways of being? What ways are you trying to be so much like someone else's way of being that you've forgotten your own? And how can you own your own way of being and step more fully and more deeply into it? These are the pathways into an experience of great coherence. This is how we make peace. We make peace through acceptance of ourselves and through acceptance of others. And so a big part of my work in the world over the past few years, you know, I was with Adil in 2012, cultivating the December 21st, 2012 experience together. And my contribution to that was this idea of synchronized global telepathic coherence, which is that there is a way we can actually synchronize our consciousness around the planet. And I believe that the power of that is absolutely unparalleled in terms of our capacity to manifest change in the world. And, you know, in the years following, I stepped out of UNIFY in order to build some education systems, because I feel that deeply that our pathways of getting more aware of who we are, the gifts we have, the dynamics that we can play out through those gifts, and the magic that we have to create change comes through having an effective mirror to see ourselves. And so one of the initial academies that I built in order to facilitate this is a self-development academy that I call the Guardian Alliance. And in the Guardian Alliance, the adventurers go forth to find and identify the different archetypes of their powers, to get to know the different fields of frequency where they're strong and where they're weak. And in other words, maybe somebody is really good at physical self-development, but they're not so great at interpersonal connection and communion. Maybe someone is, really great at communicating with their words and expressing with their words, but emotionally they have a difficult time really dropping in and feeling what's going on in their deeper emotional fields. Or maybe they're socially or sexually awkward. Maybe someone has a really powerful mind and they think really clearly, but perhaps they are so strong with their way of thinking that they forget how to actually receive information from the universe around them. And so through these kind of dynamic tensions, we find the core of our gifts. So I'll share with you a little bit of a clip here, which is just a brief intro to the Guardian Alliance, and I'll tell you just a little bit more about some of the work there. Go ahead and run that clip, JT, if you hear me on this. So the Guardian Alliance it's an adventure to the Earth. It's an adventure to who we are on the planet. And when you saw that badge seal in the beginning with the 6 different nodes, those 6 different nodes, those different colors represent these different layers of being inside of us. And so what we're doing is cultivating the space of your physical mastery through the root chakra, through the body, evolutionary cross training, qigong, tai chi, and then cultivating your sexual and social and emotional mastery through the sacral chakra, developing comfortability with showing up and with being in public, with feeling what you're feeling, and how to move through the dynamic tensions involved with that. And then developing your solar plexus and your mind, the path of the wizard, as we call it, and develop strategy and magic and thinking and coherence, mental mastery. And then we open up the path of the healer to develop interpersonal communion, connection, healing of ourselves and others, and then develop the path of the ambassador to learn how to speak and share our truth with the world and to communicate about who we are and what we are here to do to others, and then develop the path of the Star Walker, opening up our psychic abilities, our visions, our capacity for astral travel, getting to understand our relationship with other kinds of beings on other levels and in other planets. And through activating these 6 nodes, we activate the 7th center, which is the mastery ring, and come into greater mastery around who we are and our work in the world. And this is what my students basically call Jedi training. And the idea is that as you progress through this process, you are cultivating tools for guardianship in the world to create more peace in the world. And through developing these different toolkits, what happens is you become more familiar with where conflict arises and how tension arises in different types of situations. When I talk about guardianship, what I mean is not just like, I'm a guardian and I'm going to protect these gates and this is what I do, bro, What I mean is actual guardianship over peace itself and over sovereignty itself. many of us go through life and we see that we feel free to some extent. We feel sovereign to some extent, but we look around us and we see others whose sovereignty has been taken away. We see others whose power of choice has been all but snatched from them by systems, by society, by culture, by relationships, by programs, by TV shows. I mean, it happens in many ways, but people give away their power. And it's not always their fault. Sometimes their power is forcibly, physically taken away from them, or is beaten away from them through abuse, mentally and emotionally. And the reality is that when people do not have this sense of sovereignty in themselves, when they do not feel that they have the power to make a choice, then they feel lost. They feel unable to make a difference in their lives. They feel unable to make a change in their lives, and they are suffering. And it is from the depths of these places where choices seem to be taken away and seem to be gone that violence happens, that gang wars happen. Even all the way to the largest scale, the idea that we don't have enough power or don't have enough energy has led our government to cast wars on other countries to take more energy, to take more power, and we call it oil in one form. But the reality is that if people are empowered to see their own power, their own sovereignty, if they're given a gift of their own reflection, then they can truly begin to step in and reclaim that power. And sometimes that takes a guardian. Sometimes that takes someone who's going to intercede for them and help them regain that power back. And this is the art of service that truly is the peacemaking art that I feel that the planet needs the most. We're here not to change people, not to make them better, not to do anything to them, but simply to remove the blocks around them that may be keeping them from giving their greatest gift and doing their greatest work in the world. That is our practice. We are here to simply open the pathway for them to go forward and be who they are. Because if people can be who they are all the way, we're good. We're good. The earth will be a peaceful, beautiful, amazing place to be. And we will have just the most amazing, graceful transition to becoming an interplanetary and interstellar culture and society and civilization as we move forward into the future. And on that note, another important area that I feel that we should be studying and we should be diving into as a people and as a collective in order to better understand our role on the planet is what we call the field of unified physics. I'm a faculty and co-founder of an academy called the Resonance Academy. And the Resonance Academy is an experience of how we got from ancient cultural wisdom and knowledge and the building of the pyramids through to the distortions of different religious ideas, challenging science and breaking things down to the overcoming through those challenges and the establishment of scientific method, to the many different roads that we have taken on the scientific method to discover our reality, to the discovery of the quantum and the birth of quantum mechanics, to finally the reuniting of special relativity and general relativity with quantum gravity and the understanding of the small and the large. And what we're really getting at and what we're really doing now is we are bridging the physics of the largest things in the universe to the physics of the smallest things in the universe and understanding our role in the middle of that spectrum. So at the heart of this work is a discovery that we are immersed in a vibrational energy field that has so much energy in it that a single cubic centimeter of it contains more energy than we see in all the stars in the entire universe when we look into the sky. Now, how there's that much energy in that empty space is simply that it is in such a state of balance and equilibrium that in general, we just simply don't see it. We don't experience it because it's in a state of near equilibrium. But the reality is that we are experiencing this energy. We are experiencing it because of the disequilibrium. We are experiencing it because of curvature in space-time, which gives us gravity, which is holding us on this planet. We're experiencing it because of the curvature of space-time that's going on in every proton in our bodies. We're experiencing it because everything is actually out of balance, and that little bit of out of balance that happens in an atom, or that happens in the space-time around a planet, or the space-time around a star, creates the alchemy that keeps this whole thing spinning and growing and moving. So that's a little peek into the Resonance Academy. I'm going to play a clip for you here with Teresa Collins speaking, who's one of my co-founders in that academy, and one of the co-founders of Superluminal Systems, my company that built this. And she's going to give you just a few more insights into what this academy is about and what we do there together. Go ahead and play the clip, JT.
What will the future be like? And what part will you play in it? Will you be a passenger or a driver? The Resonance Academy connects you to the leading edge of unified science, life, and mind-blowing potential for a better world. Let's explore together.
Awesome. Thank you, Teresa. And that's really what we're doing, is exploring our connection to the fabric of space itself, our connection to the universe, to the quantum vacuum fluctuations, and realizing that we are so immersed in this field that we cannot disentangle ourselves from it, that the changes that happen inside of us actually ripple out and affect and change the field around us. There's some amazing work in this academy by Nassim Haramein, as well as William Brown, Amira Val Baker, Marshall Lefferts, and some of my own work and other special guests who have joined us in the adventure of creating this course. And it's a beautiful exploration of how we are completely interconnected with this universe, and how ancient cultures knew that was the case, and what the implications of that connection are, and what kinds of technologies we're to expect in the near future, including new kinds of localized energy systems that are completely clean and zero emission, all the way to starship engines, gravity control, and flying into the galaxy. And so it's an exciting place that we're in right now. And I'm going to explore with this group of delegates that come with us who take this course to Peru and Bolivia in November to do a deep dive into all of these different sacred sites across Peru and Bolivia, and get to understand the advanced technology that some of the ancient cultures actually had for interacting with space-time and actually adjusting the density of rocks and minerals, forming different kinds of structures that are seemingly impossible by even our current, high technology standards, unless you had a massive machinery doing the work, which according to, current archaeological studies is not the case for people in Peru and Bolivia thousands of years ago. And we did a similar adventure to Egypt this last October, and it was absolutely phenomenal to see some of these different spaces, like the Serapeum, where there's 30-something chambers on either side with sarcophaguses in them, which are made of single chunks of basalt, which is a 9 on the hardness scale, just below diamond. They're cut from single solid pieces of basalt that are, 7 feet tall, 8 feet wide, 16 feet long, with a 1.5 foot thick lid, and they're like 1.5 foot foot thick, and they all have the exact same resonance frequency inside of them. And there's like 30 of them in this chamber. And, you know, they're 100 feet underground in these tunnels of limestone. And the mines where the basalt comes from is like 100 miles away. So, and according to the main archaeological belief, these are tombs for bulls. Well, that's a little bit of BS, if you ask me, because I can't imagine any people thinking it would be really that much worth their while to mine, 50-ton piece of basalt from a mine, transport it 100 miles for no reason, to dig a thing 100 feet underground, and then repeat that process like 30 times. And these things are absolutely laser cut smooth. They are so polished and smooth. Every edge is perfect. It's just unbelievable. I mean, you would need a diamond saw that's like 2.5 stories high to be able to cut these at that level, or a laser. We don't, most archaeologists think neither of which was held by some of these cultures in Egypt back in those days. And so we're discovering a new narrative about our history. And this is peacemaking also, because as we come to understand how things came about and the stories that we've believed about different cultures, whether that's if you're European and it's the stories you tell about the Gypsies or the Moldovians and their kind of guttural dialect, or the way, if you're looking at the Irish and the Celts, and the only thing you can think of is like the Celts were these barbarians, and then like the Irish, oh yeah, that's St. Patrick's Day, right? Well, actually, St. Patrick's Day was, a celebration of the wiping out of Irish culture. And that's my lineage. That's my family, going all the way back to the Tuatha De Danann. And that culture is pretty much all but missing or has disappeared in terms of the experience of most people. And this is also true of a lot of indigenous traditions in North America. It's true of the Aboriginal traditions and also some of the islands in Southeast Asia. There's so much of our culture and who we are and where we came from, and those stories have been lost and overwritten by anthropological changes and by individual archaeologists framing things with a very ethnocentric view based on their own religion or their own belief systems. So as we recover the truth about the past and the truth about who we are and the truth about the ether and the truth about the physics of space-time that we're immersed in, the truth about ourselves and our power to make change in the world, so are we recovering the stream that we need to be great peacemakers on this planet. And so I invite you to explore these worlds with me, and I come in and let's dive in and let's do this work. Let's get the cultivation. Let's get the knowledge we need. Let's develop the acceptance we need to face anyone from any culture, from any color, from any religion, and accept them for who they are, and accept that they have been on a journey and they're where they're at because of that journey, and know that we can be responsible for that. And also know that we can also release that responsibility whenever we need to, and take time to ourselves and not feel like the weight of the entire world is on our shoulders. Both are essential parts of this cultivation, because the latter is making peace with us and with who we are and with what we are doing and what we have done, which is always enough. And when we feel strong and we feel nourished by that self-acceptance, then we can come back out, we can take responsibility, and we can make great changes. I've got one more clip coming up here for you. And I just wanted to also let you know that at 5 p.m. Eastern time today, that's 2 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be rejoining with Nassim Haramain and the crew from the Resonance Academy. And Nassim's going to probably do a little deep diving into unified physics and some of the different aspects of the work that we're doing there in that field. And I highly recommend you come and see us and join us for that segment. We have some other amazing stuff coming up today, a lot of special guest segments. And, today we're just getting the ball rolling. So we've got a whole weekend of amazing things. Get out tomorrow, get a backpack, fill it up with food and gear and toothpaste and toothbrush and some goodies, and go give it to a homeless person tomorrow. Give a call to that person you haven't talked to in 10 years. Let them know how much you love them. Bake some cookies for someone. Go, make something, make a piece of clothing, make something that you can give away. Give away some of the crystals that you don't longer use and give them to others and love them up. And get out there, do radical acts of kindness that can influence people's lives and open their hearts and make greater peace. And then we'll all sync up again on Sunday in global synchronized meditation. I'll be here at the Vance Memorial in Asheville, North Carolina at 3 p.m. Eastern to sync up. If you're in this region, come and join us. We're going to drop in, do Tai Chi, yoga, Qigong, different types of movement, meditation, but we're going to go deep for about 30 minutes, and I'd love to have you there. So here's my last clip, and thank you guys so much for joining me. My name's Adam Apollo, and you can always find me, just Google my name or go to the Guardian Alliance or to the Resonance Academy, and I'll see you there. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
The moment we stop blaming other people, other things, blaming the world outside of us for our own pain, our illness, our challenges in the physical world, that's the moment we take our power back. That's the moment it becomes ours to change. We choose responsibility, and we have the ability to respond and to change it completely. Is usually the experience of one individual having power taken away. Oftentimes as a child, by a parent, by a teacher. And as their power is taken away, they compensate because they try to take their power back, which is not something that you can actually do. You can only recognize that your power is not taken away. It is never gone in the first place. When you try to take your power back, you end up taking power from other people. That's the same pattern of response that happens, and it's happened over and over and over and over again throughout time. And the conditioning involved with that, as we've grown up as a species, and as we've come into this modern age and civilization as it has been, the levels of complexity by which we have patterned our process of taking power from other people is just phenomenal. And to remove that curse, to clear that pattern, we have to go back to the place of recognition that our power never gets taken away, and that we are our power. You can't take away the I am. You can't take away me. Clearing the pattern and clearing the issue is instantaneous when you choose to do it. When you return home, as Kensei would say, the warrior sage, when you return home and release the sphere of the rolling mirror, you come into clarity in yourself. And that clarity reveals to all of us what we are responsible for. And at different levels, we recognize the vast nature of that responsibility. Yet we still must choose every moment how much of that we're going to accept and how much of that we're going to choose not to be conscious of for now. I can choose not to be conscious or responsible for the temperature in the air right now. I can choose to not be conscious or responsible for the beating of my heart. I can choose not for the tree. I can choose not for the sun. I can choose not for the galaxy. I can choose not for all of humanity, and choose not to be responsible for all that humankind is going through. That is my choice, and I am given that choice. And that is free will. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful that I can choose to be small. But it is also beautiful when I choose to be large. And I begin to accept that this moment and this temperature and this tree and the sun and that all of the changes happening on the planet right now are happening in part because of me right now. And it's not ego. It's not, I'm the dude, you know, I'm God, I'm the like avatar, you know, like the whole planet's counting on me. It's not about that. It's about me recognizing that the potency exists inside of me to help everyone shift into a place of greater awareness and consciousness. And all I have to do is choose to embody all of that and shift it in myself. And I can help so many people in vast and incredible ways. And we must do that with each other. We must bring each other into that space of responsibility. Because we need rest too. We need time while we're on this physical plane to be unconscious, to let the awareness and the responsibility fade.
Thank you so much, brother. We've got really appreciate all that you shared. We've got Shilpa Jain coming up live now. We're on a tight timeline, so we're just gotta go quick. But we're gonna have you come back on in a bit, Adam, and share some more of your magic. Love you so much, Shilpa. Are we live?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah, you're live. Nice, cool. It's working. The technology is working.
It's taking its own time.
Hi, Shilpa.
Hi.
It's an honor to meet you. One of my dearest brothers is the reason this broadcast is happening. A fellow named Josh Tome. Are you familiar with Josh Tome? You know,
Yes,
right?
I know Josh for 15 years now.
Yeah. So anyways, he's been sharing with me for years about peace jams, but was this your baby or what?
No, so it's Yes Jams, which is different than Peace Jams. Just want to make sure that's clear, which is another wonderful organization, but very different. But Yes started in 1990 by a few different teenagers in California, including Ryan Eliason and Ocean Robbins. And I came into Yes in 2002. And so I've been part of the community since then, and then the executive director after Ocean, who was executive director for 20 years. I've been the executive director since 2011. So I've been in it since then in a more active way, but involved with the jam since 2002. I think I lost you. Where did you go? I don't know. I don't know how the technology is working. Hopefully I'm still here somewhere. Okay. Not sure what's going on. What do I need to share? If anyone is out there live, let's just take a breath because there's nothing else to do. Oh, there you are again. Okay. I see you now, but I can't hear you. Yeah, can see you. Okay, hopefully we're getting there. Oh, lost you again. Talk about the jam. Okay, I'll talk about the jam. I'm being given instructions, so that's helpful. So one of Yes's major programs they're called jams, and the jam comes from the spirit of a musician's jam, the idea that everyone is a co-creator and a contributor and everyone's voice matters. And the idea that when we come together and listen to each other and are able to really make space to feel and to be with each other in new ways, that what we create, the kind of music we create, the music of our hearts and souls and spirits and energies and bodies, is something that's never been seen before. It's the unique confluence and synergy of all of these people coming together. And so YES organizes transformative jams, usually no more than 30 people, for anywhere from 3 to 7 days, most of them. And the jams are three kinds. One is geographically based, where bringing together a diversity of change makers from a particular location. At this very moment, I'm in Toronto, Canada. Tomorrow, we're starting the 4th Toronto Leadership Jam, bringing together change makers from around the city and neighboring areas.
Josh, can I interview?
Some of our programs are geographical. Some of our we also have, like, for example, regions like the Middle East or North America, or countries like Egypt or Pakistan. Some of our programs the jams are sectoral, so bringing together people from a diversity of geographies that share a common sector. Law and social change for lawyers and legal advocates, arts and social change for artists, education transformation for people working in the education movement. And then we have jams that are more for identity-based jams. So people want from a diversity of geographies and diversity of sectors, but who share a common identity. For example, the LGBTQ queer jam or the Black diaspora jam. We have the first ever Asian Pacific Islander jam coming up in a few months. So the jams, one way I describe them is they're an embodied experience of beloved community. The idea that personal development is important for sure, as is the idea of really growing in community, and that without community, in fact, as individuals, it's very hard to grow. And community is one of the things that's maybe the most missing in our world today, and in order to be able to really make systemic transformation happen. So that's a little bit about the jam.
Shilpa, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Yeah, technical difficulty solved. All right. Wow. And so where are you located physically in the world? Where's home base for you?
Home base for me is Berkeley, Oakland, California. Yeah, and in this very moment, I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, cool. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
We're in Vancouver right now, but I lived in Berkeley as well for many years. And how many communities are there, like active communities, are there around the world?
There are about 30 jam teams and 30 jams or so that are happening around the world. About half of them are around the US, and the other half are international. So in Canada, in Toronto and Nova Scotia, in Egypt, in Morocco, in Jordan, Turkey, India, Pakistan. Those are most of the places, and Mexico.
Wow, unbelievable. And what kind of like activities did the communities engage in? You began to share this, but we're cutting out a little bit, and I wanted to pick up the thread just a little bit more. What does a year look like for a jam community in Tunisia or something?
Okay, well, we have alumni in Tunisia, but for people who are participating in the jam, so the jams themselves are somewhere from 3 days to 7 days long. And what the experience looks like is it's kind of an arc of a week. So it's arriving, it's grounding, time to play, time to bring in our voices and introductions, check-ins, time to be able to support each other, care for each other, dive into conversations that are difficult to have, conversations around, depending on the location, could be around race or ethnicity, class, gender, could be around our leadership, our contributions, different conversations that people are struggling with or having difficulty around. And a lot of what we're doing is building a kind of conversations to happen. And so the week it goes something like, being able to ground and arrive, being able to share and connect and learn each other's stories, being able to drop in to more difficult conversations and using our body wisdom, engaging with our spirits and our hearts, storytelling and story sharing, using some really powerful tools that enable us to kind of go deeper into ourselves, looking at our inner critics, looking at how we work with conflicts so that we can see about working with conflict differently, And then towards the end of the week, as we're moving through those conversations, looking at integration and how to take that work home, try to build these kind of cultures and containers everywhere we go, where people feel seen and loved and heard, where they can work through challenging things without being fixed or given advice, but where they can really just have space to find the solutions that work for them. And then to be able to integrate that into their own projects. A lot of the people who come to jams are part of organizations or movements, social movements, in the environment and media and education and social justice in different ways. So people being able to take those learnings and really transform their own lives and their communities going home. So going home looks like, people for sure staying in touch with folks that they've met at the jam. A lot of people find their best friends. They find partners in life. They find business partners, all kinds of things. People also then are able to access some of the tools and practices and start to integrate them into their families and have breakthroughs with their families and with their organizations, be able to do work that feels more resonant and more held in community and more sustainable as a result, and often more able to find the growth that they were looking for because they have now a community of support that can really anchor them.
Beautiful. How beautiful. So the premise fundamentally is that in shared conversation, in a space of receiving, that each one of those souls can really truly blossom and actually share their gifts with each other. I've heard wonderful stories, actually, like you mentioned, of people meeting their soulmates and business partners, and it's almost like it's something we take almost so much for granted, really. The true art of creating that type of space. But every one of us wants to be acknowledged and really ultimately have the answers within us, and just need the invitation to be heard. So beautiful. So what's next for Peace? What's next for Peace Jams? Like what's going to happen? Where are you guys at? What's the big next edge for y'all?
Well, so again, yes jams, not peace jams. I don't want to confuse the audience.
Sorry.
Another wonderful group that is Peace Jams, which I love. They work with Nobel Peace Prize laureates, and that's not what I do. But
I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
No worries. It's not a problem. Not a problem. Just want to make sure people are clear. But yes jams are really growing in a beautiful way. The more work that I do, the more I'm realizing how many folks are really craving, as you just said, this kind of space, and how many people feel like so many of the issues that we're facing in our world would be solved and resolved if we could each slow down enough to hear ourselves, hear each other, hear nature, hear the place that we are, and really work through the conflicts that we have in new ways and different ways, ways that actually acknowledge diversity of perspectives and diversity of truths, and that trust that there's something deeper that is also there that comes through our hearts and our souls and our body wisdom. And so the jams continue to grow. More new jams want to be offered. Currently, for example, working on a restorative justice jam. There's a desire to have some more identity-based jams, like a men's jam and a Jewish jam. There's some more place-based geographical jams that people want to start in their different locations, bringing together a diversity of people from those places. So there's a lot of energy around that. There's also a lot of desire to share more of these stories outward and to see how we can inspire more people to be able to use these tools and use these practices to be able to create those kinds of containers and spaces wherever they are, and also to be able to integrate more. So we have about 1,700, something like that, alumni around the world who are wanting to integrate. And so they're doing a lot already, but to strengthen those webs of connection, to strengthen their abilities, for example, some of our alumni in Pakistan who are really working on the front lines of trying to stop some of the movements of young people getting into terrorist organizations and violence because they feel so disenfranchised and disregarded. And so transforming that with kind of safe containers of listening and learning and love, what that could do. Friends, for example, in the southern part of the US who are dealing with similar challenges in a different way, around racial inequities and wanting to slow down with people together and notice what does it look like to heal our own pain and to be in a space together where our grief and our anger is welcomed and that we can actually make space for it without having to solve it, resolve it, fix it in any kind of way. And in the space itself and the release of that, then the creativity can actually flow through, and the relationship and the connection can actually emerge that's authentic and meaningful to resolve a lot of those systemic challenges as well. So there's kind of 3 layers of things that are really happening, and it feels like an exciting moment because a lot of JAM leaders from around the world, each JAM has its own team. So the team in Egypt is different than the team here in Toronto, which is different than the environmental JAM team, which is different from the team in, let's say, the queer JAM, LGBTQ JAM team. So all of them are different people. And so there's a desire for folks to kind of connect more across the teams as well and be able to share their learnings and growth and move the work forward in ways that can be really, really meaningful and dynamic to see the change to trying to build together. Yeah.
Congratulations in such a beautiful work. Like, you guys are doing such noble awesomeness. Do you have any stories that stick out for you? Like any key personal stories that would help bring home, or something that's moved you the most about the work that you're doing?
There's so many people who move me every day, but a couple stories. Let's see. Well, one of my friends, 2 people actually who I'm here with in Toronto are really moving to me. They met at the first jam that we did here in Toronto, neither of them previously knowing each other, and coming from really different backgrounds and being able to fall in love and support each other and learn so much about what it is to show up in partnership differently, to show up as supporters and cheerleaders and collaborators, which was really unique for both of them as a way. And so their love story, I think, is really inspiring. Have it written up on our website if folks are interested in checking it out. Another friend in Egypt, Man, is an educator, and she is launching incredible work on supporting families and communities to learn without schools and learn in ways that feel really resonant to their being and to the cultures and diversities of those cultures in Egypt. And a lot of her inspiration and work of creating communities that feel safe, that are welcoming for children and welcoming for families to choose a different path has come out of her work supporting the Egypt Jam. Yeah, I can go on and on. There's so many stories, but there's just everyone who comes in my experience of doing this work. One more story is a law professor at Drexel University, who's one of the Law and Social Change Jam participants and alumni and organizers now. And she took her learnings from the Jam and saw what a difference it would make for legal students to be able to drop in more with their purpose and their sense of self and really have a community that was based on collaboration and not competition, given how much of the burnout and pain and struggles that young lawyers go through. It should to be so well-being of the students involved. And so she designed a whole year course that was based on the Jam and based on the ability to be able to be voice what was alive, to share feelings and emotions, to share truths and experiences, and to be heard and seen. And it's having amazing effects for those students as well.
Wow. So tell me this: where does one who's interested in this find out more? And what's the process to attend a jam?
Definitely, you can go to our website, which is yesworld.org.
Okay.
And there's a whole list under Connect of current jams and programs, and also you can see some of our past ones as well if you're interested in what has happened. Each jam has an application process because that helps us get ready. It helps folks get ready to come and jam and be ready in their heart and spirit to join the community and co-create that community experience. And then from there, the team helps to guide and support the process, both in the organizing and the facilitation. And yeah, it's an incredible, incredible journey. So I welcome you if you're interested. If you're really interested in both growing your soul with others, I think about it as collaboration and co-liberation, that I can't really be liberated or free or can't really resolve everything on my own. I really need to be in community, and I'm interdependent with all of life. And so if there's a way for me to forge healthy bonds, healthy connections, healthy support, receiving and giving with others, then a lot of that is what we get to learn and practice during the jam for our own growth and for the world that we're trying to build together.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you for your your awesome work. Well, I know that we've got something scheduled coming up next, and I find myself just wanting to dive into the rabbit hole of your world and go deeper and deeper. But yeah, so Josh, do we have a video that we could play? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I want. Yeah. Awesome.
This video is just the kind of welcoming we give to everyone when we invite them into the jam. So welcome to the jam. Your whole self is welcome. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you. Thanks for
appreciate you too. God bless you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's like share the good work with the world. Let us know how it goes. We want to keep in touch with the UNIFY family. We totally want to storytell about what you're up to, and maybe include you guys in an email and just share what's going on in your world.
Great. Yeah. I'd love to have you all come jam with us too. That'd be great.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Shilpa. Geez, appreciate it.
Thank you, Adil. Bye.
Bye.
I want to welcome you.
I welcome? Welcome. Welcome.
I welcome you, all of you, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you are.
I start with my intention to see and hear you from my heart. I welcome you with your questions and answers, with your accusations and acceptance, with your anger and compassion.
I want to welcome you. I want to welcome your soul, your mind, and your body. You are welcome here.
I want to welcome your ancestors and all the people whose spirits you carry with you, the ways you may be connected or disconnected to them.
I'd like to welcome you from Egypt, the land of history, welcoming your histories, and within everything that you come here today with.
Welcome to the work that each of you does in the world. Welcome to the ways in which that may or may not define you. Welcome to those who might call themselves change makers, to those for whom that term doesn't resonate.
And I welcome the part of you that is on fire, that has been putting shit together, that is ready to expand and has the pieces in place.
I want to welcome you in your body, in whatever state your body's in right now. Whatever places of ease and dis-ease might be there, whatever places of health or places that are needing attention and care. I welcome all of your body.
Welcome to the parts of you that feel your feet connected to the earth beneath you, and welcome to your wandering soul.
I welcome you in whatever state you may find yourself in right now, whether you are coming in with joy or struggle or anything in between. All of that is welcome into our space.
I welcome the part of you that laughs out loud with complete abandonment, and also the part of you that sometimes is too overwhelmed to even smile.
We welcome every gender. We welcome all the ways that you express your gender, all the parts of you that are fabulous, and all the parts that you're wondering how to express on the spectrum and beyond the spectrum. We welcome all sexualities, all different ways of loving people.
We welcome your languages, however you communicate, verbal, nonverbal, what you dream in, what your ancestors spoke, what your people will speak in the future, and all the ways in which those languages inform, nourish, explain, complicate, and hold all of you. We welcome you.
I welcome your spirituality. I welcome your faith. I welcome your innate potentials. I welcome the path you are walking on, alone or with friends.
Your most gorgeous, sexy, feminine, fantastic self. We're so glad you're here.
the soil, air, plants, and animals that make you, you. The millions of microbial cells that symbiotically live in and with you.
You are welcome here. I would like to welcome your playfulness, your inner child, your inner wisdom, and your all of you is welcome here.
Welcome to your expressiveness, and welcome to those parts of you that you're shy to share.
I especially want to welcome the questions of what are we all about to do at a jam? All of that is so welcome.
I welcome you from Anatolia, the land of Rumi. As he said, beyond right and wrong, there's a field, and I will meet you there.
To cast the circle of our family ever larger to include each other.
Welcome to the jam.
Okay, we're good, right? Oh, good. Thank God. Everything's working so good. Okay. So we got, listen, we're gonna be out here for like 72 hours. I'm gonna be wearing a diaper, so I don't have to go to the bathroom. It's gonna be a thing. They're gonna be feeding me with an intravenous tube. I'll be meditating. I'm not leaving this like 72 hours. We're gonna see what happens, and things are gonna unravel in like 48-ish. I'm just joking. Okay. So we gotta reset this Facebook thing every 4 hours. So we wanted to, before we check out, we wanted to just share with you some love from or just give some love up to our homies at Gaia who are helping us out with this and sharing a bunch of magical content. Our good buddy Chaitananda Kumar, who created UNIFY as well. If you haven't checked it out, check out unify.re. It's pretty cool. It'll sync up with a bunch of people doing collective conscious actions together. And then we now accept cryptocurrency. And so you can take a look at, if you go to unify.org and you press the donate button, that's powered by coin payments. So if you're feeling like you want to liquidate some of that Bitcoin or give them some love, we love. We're just gonna put into world peace, anyways. And so, yeah, we were having tons of fun here. Could take a little station break. Yeah. So I think we're gonna play Peace by Gaia now, and then we'll take a break and then come back. Right? So reset. So keep an eye out for us. All right. Much love, Gaia.
Don't anticipate. Don't yearn for things of the past. Let the past go with forgiveness. And let the future go with no anticipation. Each of us contains a being that doesn't die and a being that does die. Everything must change, except the soul. Your preparation for dying is done by identifying with your soul, not your ego. Identify with your soul now. There are realms other than the one we are meeting on. Realms where we meet the souls that we have known in the past as just souls. We won't meet them in their clothing of mother or father or uncle or aunt. Then, sensual planes. Planes with color, music, planes which have no form. This plane is where all of it starts. This plane is the womb, the beginning of things. This plane is ecstatic, is the ultimate creativity. Dying is the most important moment that exists in any incarnation. It is important that you not be so overwhelmed by the processes of dying. I wish you a process for dying that doesn't overwhelm you. I wish you a moment of dying that you can be conscious of. I wish you a future incarnation in a plane of incredible light.
We don't have it because it is that.
It's. Oh. I'm ready. Hey, people. Hey, beautiful people out there. Oh, nice. So we're going to reset this action all across all of our channels, and we're going to be back live in how many minutes now? 10 minutes or so. We're about 10 minutes, and then we're going to be back live on Rocking with you all. Going to join. Get on this boat with us. We're going to sail the wide ocean, go visit a few islands, see what kind of fleet we can roll with. So yeah, love you guys. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us on this World Peace broadcast. Thank you for holding that peace in your heart, being the black sheep of your family. I know you are the black sheep of your family. Your parents love you so much. Okay, that's all good. So yeah, we love you so much. We'll see you back in like 10 minutes or so. Okay, cool. Bye-bye.